What is best in life? To crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and to hear the lamentation of their women.
All right, what is it? Tuesday night? Radio Baloney live on Tuesday. I am your host, Richie Baloney. How's everybody doing? How's everyone doing? So we did our first Rumble raid last night, which is a thing where you can send on Rumble, you can send your live stream viewers over to another channel. So at the end of the stream, we decided to do that last night because I've got to do it for the Rumble Creator Program, and that seems like a good thing to do, help people out. Apparently, it was a bit weird. So let's see. Trudeau Survivor says, let's see. The raid party Rumble feature was really awkward. The host was really confused and said something like, "How do I get rid of all these people?" No good deed goes unpunished, I guess. He muted me for talking about dolphins. Well, I think he figured out what was going on after because he ended up following my channel and I followed him back as well. But yeah, so the idea is to get other people to, to increase awareness of other channels. So people discoverability of channels. So that's why they put it in as they must do 5 times in the a month in the creator program. So that just help people get discovered, people like me, right? So we just found a channel that had, about the same as what we get, maybe a little bit more. No point doing it for somebody who's got, 10,000 live stream viewers. It's like, somebody's got like 20, 30, 40. Because then it actually, they'll actually even notice, right? So, so we tried it, and but it is a bit like the name, like Trudeau Survivor says, Rumble needs better framing. Instead of calling it a raid, it should be called something positive and have a clear message. Example, the Radio Baloney channel has gifted his viewers to Liberty channel. Yes, I agree, because it's kind of weird, right? Raid, like all of a sudden somebody's raiding your channel. Like, what? Whoa, hold on, I'm getting raided? That doesn't sound good. So that is bad framing. I agree 100%, Trudeau Survivor. So now that I know what it is, I won't to be like, what the fuck is going on? If my channel's getting raided, what? But yeah, so hopefully it ended up going a little bit better after that. Let's see. Spambot, how you doing? All right. So let's go through the menu. What are we going to talk about tonight? We'll go through really quickly all the stuff we're going to talk about. Then we're going to get back to the chat, and then we will go back to the stories in depth. Look at this crazy-eyed Democrat dingbat. She's running for a congressional seat in Nashville, and she said openly that she hates Nashville. So weird, but not really weird if you think about what the left is these days. It actually is kind of normal. And Trump is talking about Somalia, and he's just roasting Somalia, and he's not a big fan, and he's not a big fan of Somalians. And we're going to watch this video where he explains why. Let's see. So Trump had meant to cut off SNAP funding to states who refuse to provide data on SNAP benefits. The only reason you would refuse to provide data is to give it to people illegally. Give it to people you shouldn't be giving it to. We'll talk about that. We've got Canada news here. Frances Widowson, who has been doing street epistemology, which Peter Boghossian started. She's been doing that on Canadian universities, talking about the issue of, the unmarked graves hoaxes at the residential schools, that sort of thing. And she just got arrested in Victoria, University of Victoria. arrested. This is the state of Canada, of academia in Canada. It's unbelievable. We'll take a look at that. We've got Carney getting triggered in the House over his fake housing announcement. We covered that before. We've got a new poll here, which I don't know. If it's real, you just go like, is Canada just a country of frozen retards? What is going on? We got Pierre roasting Mark Carney. And then Mark Carney just running away. He just leaves. Mark Carney does not like being in Parliament. He does not like doing it because, well, it's not just him in a boardroom just shouting at people what to do. So he seems to try to avoid it as much as he can. There's a new meme craze out there, a new meme craze. It's Franklin. Franklin, it's the new Pepe the Frog. Franklin and Elon go to space after saving the West. There's a bunch of these. We're going to go through them. I think it's the most hilarious thing I've seen in a long time. Let's see. Of course, we got some woke mind virus stuff. Crip guts, stomas, and the violence of returning to normal. A feminist queer Crip approach to the gut. Another immense waste of human potential. We'll go through that. Bill C9, which now the liberals want to make the Bible illegal. Apparently. So, yeah, that's Canada. Let's see. So now there's a land title claim for Ottawa Valley in Ontario and Quebec. This is going to be the thing that breaks Canada. By the way, Canada has an awful lot of native ancestral chiefs that look for all the world just like Englishmen or Scotsmen. Like if you were one of the original settlers and you sailed all the way from England and this guy greeted you on the shore, you'd be like, damn it, we just went in a circle. We're back in England again. It's a weird thing. Let's see. Katie Hopkins. We always like Katie Hopkins. She's always very good and entertaining and doesn't hold back. We'll see her. We've got something from Graham Linehan here, who's been persecuted in the UK for accurately describing reality. He's talking about Emmanuel Brunischholz, who starts a 10-day prison sentence in Switzerland tomorrow for saying that men and women have different skeletons. Yes, that's how bad it's gotten. Dystopia. Daniel Smith just keeps getting better. Here she's saying that Alberta's going to have essentially castle law. You're going to be allowed to defend yourself in your home without worrying about getting arrested by liberal goons afterwards. Then we have the last one here, which is the last bookmark, which has a bunch of stuff you guys sent in. Bunch of good stuff. Some of it I can't show you till I'm sure that I grabbed more than that. Hold on. Some of it I can't show you till the premium stream just because of copyright reasons, but we'll get to most of this. I thought I had more in there. Oh, well, whatever. It don't matter. Listen, what's going on in the chat? Okay. Trudeau Survivor says, I'm curious to see what happens today with Rosie's gift. She gave 2 yesterday. As far as I could see, only one of them was gifted to Chef Rico, so the other one was never assigned. I don't know. Maybe it got assigned afterwards, but it was 3. She actually did 3 gift memberships, which is the best thing that anybody can do for the channel, by the way. Guest memberships to the channel is the best thing anyone can do. Okay, what else is going on? Nevada got number 2 on the like button again. So as everybody knows, we're streaming on YouTube and Rumble and X on locals. And anytime somebody likes the stream, they get a free dose of good karma, obviously. But when you're one of the first people, you get extra. So number 2, let's say tonight it's a quadruple good karma evening for like number 1, wherever you are. Number 2 then would be triple good karma, which is really a good amount of good karma. Radio streamer, like number 3. So that would be double good karma for you, my friend. Double. Let's see. Spambot was second. Trudeau Survivor had number 1. So it's 4 for Trudeau Survivor, 3 for Spambot Fodder. Beautiful. Let's see. Radio streamer Trudeau. I really think the guy wasn't just confused. He seemed disingenuous. I have pictures of all of my comments being removed after thanking someone for giving me a sub. I got mad Joel Osteen stuffing money in walls vibes from that guy. I don't know. I mean, the thing is, when you're doing a live stream and all of a sudden something kind of surprising happens, like maybe you're not really, it'll maybe shock you a little bit more or confuse you a little bit more than normal because you're live, right? So I don't know. All I know is I thought, well, there's somebody who could use a few more people, so let's give it a try. Spambot says the Making Disney Better must be a premium only. Yeah, I checked it out, and yeah, that's the heavy metal one. Let's see. JJ Nevada, how you doing, JJ? Says YouTube sucks. YouTube has been really throttling my main channel these days, and just the last 2 months I haven't gained any subscribers. It's just I've gained subscribers, but they're unsubbing people from my channel faster than I can gain them. And I really there's just a boot on my channel now. No views, just it's the same thing always. Get a few months respite, and then immediately, boom, boot comes back down again as soon as the algorithm figures it out. Streamer says he was a little too Hitler-esque for me. I have no idea who the guy was. I just saw, seemed kind of vaguely, conservative. So I thought, well, we'll try that. Nevada says, I wish Richie would turn off YouTube after the first hour so we could enjoy the content with sound. Most of the sound on those is you don't want to hear anyway. I don't want to hear. Most of it's just garbage, like techno music and shit. Streamer says, I did nothing wrong. Someone asked who Radio Baloney was, and I explained you were a political commentator on Canadian and American politics. 5 seconds later, we just started getting booted. Oh, well, the cool kids are here. I don't know. Again, no good deed goes unpunished, but thanks for going along with it, you guys. I do have to do it 4 more times. We'll try it again tonight. So if we keep just getting a bad reception from channels we're trying to, give a little boost to, then we'll just go to I don't know, whatever, we'll just go to a Fresh and Fit or something, whatever. But I would like to try and help out other, for discoverability for other smaller channels, Streamer says, just don't send us back to Black Hitler. Oh, that's funny. All right. We will not be I will not be sending, it's got to be 5 different channels anyway, so we wouldn't be doing it again anyway. That's funny. Black Hitler. I have no idea who that channel was. I mean, I'd just go blind. I thought, we'll try this guy. All right. I had no idea I was sending you to Black Hitler. All right, let's go. Let's start it out. Let's get started. So anyway, Crazy Eyes, right? Crazy Eyes. What's going on here? This is the platform that psycho-feminist Afton Bain is running on. It's crazier than I thought. This is Matt Walsh. The Democrat Party has announced they strongly support everything this woman is saying. Well, first off, she's running in Nashville. Let's hear what she had to say about Nashville. Let's check this out.
I do want to ask you about an attack line from Republicans, because this is a comment you made in 2020 about Nashville.
So don't forget, this is an attack line from Republicans. These things she said, it's an attack line. They're attacking with these things that she said.
It's gotten a lot of attention in your race. Let's listen to this.
I hate the city. I hate the bachelorettes. I hate the pedal taverns. I hate country music. I hate all of the things that make Nashville, apparently, and it's city to the rest of the country, but I hate it.
I know you said those comments were taken out of context, but I want to ask you about it, because I'm wondering, do you think it was a mistake to say that?
Once again, I was a private citizen. Nashville is my home. Do I roll my eyes at the bachelorette parties and the pedal taverns that are blocking my access to my house? Yeah, every Nashvilleian does. But this race has always been about something bigger. It's about families across Middle Tennessee that are getting crushed by rising prices, while Washington politicians and billionaires argue about this type of nonsense.
This kind of nonsense, like you hating the place you're running to represent. Nonsense like that. I mean, the real tragedy is that that Republicans might attack her over that. That might be an attack line for them, to point out that she hates the place she's running to represent. Weird. I mean, the thing is, though, that if you're a leftist now in any Western country, there are, in the state's districts or ridings in Canada, say, where, yeah, I mean, saying that you hate your culture, your city, you hate the people, you hate everything, is just fine because, the people that will vote for you also hate everything too and want to burn it all to the ground. So that is just what the left is now. Let's see. And this is written by Matt Walsh. Of course, this woman knows just what happened in Virginia, where a Democratic sociopath, someone who says he wants conservatives and their children to die, just won the race for attorney general. She understands that Democrat voters are motivated above all else by hatred. And she's made the calculation at this point that the only viable path forward is to appeal to Democrats' profound disdain for the world they live in, or in this case, the city they live in. Yes, I mean, thing is for just generally sane people, right? It seems crazy. It seems crazy to just say, yeah, no, I hate everything about the place that I'm running to. I hate everything about this place that I want to represent. That would seem like a crazy thing, but I mean, again, on the modern left, and there are safe districts where you can say that, where that's the safest thing, probably the best thing that you can say, because they've been so brainwashed to hate themselves and their country. To be clear, if she had just said she hates the bachelorette parties in Nashville or whatever, that wouldn't really be an issue. If she had said she just hates the pedal taverns and wants to abolish them and imprison everyone involved, I would wholeheartedly agree. But she explicitly stated that she also hates the entire city as a whole. And now she's banking on the possibility that most people living in Nashville also hate the entire city, hate themselves, essentially. And frankly, she might be right, because I think it's pretty close. Here, let's check out this one. What's she saying here?
Crime is, of course, also was a major issue in the presidential election. And I know there are some old posts. You've been asked about those old posts a number of times. My question for you today is whether more money for cops on the streets in the district you hope to represent would help fight crime. Would you like more money for more cops on the streets in your district?
So those past comments were at a time when I was a private citizen, as an activist and organizer, and now as a Tennessee lawmaker, I represent 40,000 individual opinions and political thought.
Right,
and
so what do you think now? Would more money for cops be good or bad?
I think it depends on what the community wants. And so I've worked with communities, at least my constituents, want to ensure that there is investment in their community for community safety, community protection, mental health services. And that's what I'm hearing from at least my constituents.
All right, fair enough.
Well, not really fair enough, though, because she didn't answer the question, right? So it's not really fair enough. I'm actually surprised that she pushed her as hard as she did on CNN. Let's see. She still wants to defund the police. That's what Matt Walsh is saying. It doesn't, well, I mean, she didn't say she didn't there, and she was asked. Let's take a look.
Representative, in 2020, you made some tweets that have since been deleted that were very critical of police. You said in those since deleted tweets that the Metropolitan Nashville Police Department should be dissolved. Another cheered on a teachers union saying that defund the police should be a requirement for schools reopening. And another saying good morning, especially to the 54% of Americans that believe burning down a police station is justified. 2020 was obviously a very fraught year. Do you still stand by those comments? And if not, is there anything you want to clarify?
I'm not going to engage in cable news talking points, but what I will say is that
this is MS Now. They're not going to get mad at you if you say yeah, totally. I want to burn down. I only wish that I personally could have been burning down a police station. They'll be fine with that. They'll probably cry with joy. Let's continue.
Our communities need solutions. We need local people deciding, solving local problems with local solutions. And that's not the overreach of a federal government or state government of which we are dealing with in Nashville and our cities across the state of Tennessee.
So you don't want to clarify whether you still believe that the police should be defunded?
Once again, I don't remember these tweets, but what I'm saying is that
I'm not asking you if you remember. What is your position today? How's that on this issue?
I mean, once again, I'm here to talk about my race, which is in literally 9 days.
Have you ever noticed how commies lie all the time about everything? Just like they'll just lie about anything if they find it politically expedient. Clearly, she wants to defund the police. I mean, look at this. Where are these quotes that they had? Here we go. 2020. It's not like she was 12 or 16 when she wrote this, right? It's not that long ago. It's not in some distant past. Good morning, especially to the 54% of Americans that believe burning down a police station is justified. For one thing, I don't believe that number. I think that's ridiculous. But again, it's not like she was 12 when she wrote this, right? It's not that long ago. Let's see. What else do we got? What's this here? The Democrat Party is backing a candidate who wants to abolish police and thinks burning down police stations is justified.
Well, I'm currently involved in a transformative justice seminar. And so it's how to imagine a world without police and what that looks like and what community mechanisms look like, how people can not police themselves. But for example, if you experience sexual assault, like what is the reconciliation process and what does transformative justice look like? Because as we know, like you can't take those things to court. Our legal system is terrible when it comes to retribution. So anyways, all that to say is that I hope all of you, so one, I'll have a podcast on it and I highly recommend if it's been difficult for all of you to imagine a world without police, please tune in to maybe not this episode, but the next one. Cause I'll talk about, things I'm learning and growing as an organizer, because I think especially for those of us, that are young, and talking to our parents about what police abolition looks like, that,
it's all just the same gibberish for, more than the last 100 years. It's all the same gibberish. It never changes. Makes no sense. How does this woman think it's really going to be without police? Maybe she took a couple of those, self-defense courses at the Y, right? And she thinks she's got it all in hand. The level of naivete and stupidity is just baffling. Just baffling. There are bad people that are going to be bad. 25% of people in prison are psychopaths. Clinically diagnosed as psychopaths. People with no empathy. People with no decency. They don't care. You are just an object to them. Right? You're like a mannequin. like a talking mannequin to them. They feel nothing. They will get away with whatever they can and not care. It's truly baffling, the level of stupidity. Let's see. Democrat nominee for the upcoming Tennessee 7 special election after Afton Bain condemns women who get married and start families, saying it's a product of deeply patriarchal structures. They're all just commies. All of them. Insane commies who've never actually read a history book about communism.
My therapist always asks me to transcribe my dreams when they happen. And the recurring dream I've had is standing up in a cafeteria full of women. I don't know why I was there or whatever, and saying, I don't want children, I want power, and just screaming it at the top of my lungs. And for someone who grew up with my mother telling me never have kids because you'll have to give up a lot. You'll have to sacrifice professionally, which is what.
Can you imagine that? Your mother telling you to never have kids because it sucks, because you have to sacrifice? Can you imagine that? Like, no wonder this woman's deranged. That if you want to turn somebody into this, tell them that. Right? If you're a parent and you want to destroy your kid's mind, tell them that.
What she was saying. And where I am now with seeing the consequences and the ramifications of women having kids and being in the political field and what they're able to achieve, because we don't offer, it's like the political field hasn't met the challenge of working moms. They really haven't. But also the deeply patriarchal structures that these women are involved with because they've chosen marriage and they've chosen to raise children. And I think in the South, it's incredibly difficult to shake those, especially if you've grown up here. And that's
deeply patriarchal structures. What does this mean? Like, how is it not deeply matriarchal? Like, deeply patriarchal. So what? Because women can have children. If they have children, it's more difficult for them to be both a mother and a professional or a congresswoman or whatever. This has nothing to do with patriarchy. This is just reality, right? This is just like, okay, we're a sexually reproducing species. Women are the ones who give birth. Like, it's just reality. It's nothing patriarchal, right? It's just, that's the way it is. The fact that, nobody seems to actually, none of these people seem to actually think about the words that they say. Deeply patriarchal. Well, then just nature is deeply patriarchal. It's just crazy, isn't it? She says, my therapist, of course she's got a therapist, always asks me to transcribe my dreams. I'm standing up in a cafeteria full of women and saying, I don't want children, I want power. Okay, great. You've let us know who you are. You're power hungry. Great. I don't know. How is the matriarchy better than the patriarchy exactly? If such a thing even exists in the first place. Crazy eyes. Let's go to her X account here. Afton Bain for Congress. Who are the people supporting her? Well, she got lots of diversity in there. Maybe not enough, though. There's too much white, actually, in my opinion. Too much white. There's too much whiteness. Let's see. It's my birthday, so we're launching our final ad for the campaign called Shake Up. Shake Up. So let's take a look at this.
Angry about high grocery prices? Worried about healthcare costs? Feeling burned by tariffs?
Well, guess what? I hate you. All of you. I'm Afton Bain. I'm Afton Ben, and I hate you.
then December 2nd is your day to shake up Washington. I'm Afton Bain, and in Congress, I'll work for you, not the rich donors or special interests. Together, we can bring balance to Washington by making healthcare more affordable, bringing down the cost of living, and protect workers and small businesses from job-killing tariffs.
Why don't they ever do any of that, though? Like all things like make healthcare cheaper, for instance. Like, why don't they ever actually do that? I mean, it'd be interesting if they did that.
I'm Afton Bain, and I approve this message to shake up Washington.
And don't forget, I hate you with a little wink. That's an I hate you wink. Vote for me because I hate you. There you go. There you go, folks. Beautiful. Just beautiful. All right. Let's get back to the chat. What's going on? Let's see. Give me a second. Radio Streamer says, look at that disingenuous hag's face. I just can't stand people like her. It's amazing that they can actually trick people into voting for them. Vada says, I bet she doesn't have a family. Well, it doesn't sound like it. Spambout Fodder says, I bet she has OnlyFans. OnlyFans. Let's see. Radio Streamer says, I need more commie hate to soothe my wounds. He says Black Hitler put him in a mood. Black Hitler. That's what you get. You try to help somebody, you raid their stream, and I don't know, they don't appreciate it. Black Hitler didn't appreciate it, apparently. I didn't know who it was. I just a channel. I thought, I don't know, they sent some people there. Let's see. Nevada says, radio, you know, all these stinking commie SOBs keep me in a mood. Well, they're bad news. Streamer says, quick, someone break a statue of Marx. If only I had one here. Let's see. Nevada says, me too, more commie hates, and I need, you're not catching me with that one. Not yet. Not yet. Not until I've had 3 more cups of coffee. All right. Nevada says that Afton Ben was a special kind of commie. Let's see. All right. Rosie, like number 7. So that is 1.25 good karmas tonight, which is pretty good. All my karma from last night kept me from getting bit by any dogs today. Fantastic. We love these testimonials on the channel. And hitting like has protected me from bats and polar bears. And my computer is still working. Good Lord. You see, as people collect their good karma from liking the stream, also subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed. But as people collect their good karma, they often will list testimonials of all the good things that the good karma from Radio Baloney has brought them. I mean, not getting bitten by any dogs or bats or polar bears, computer still working. These are all very good things. And I do believe that my channel is solely responsible for that. Well, and unliking the stream. Trudeau Survivor says, antidepressant popping, man-hating, joy-killing, miserable commie feminist. Yeah, I think that's who she was there, that Afton Ben. Let's see. Spambot Fodder says, she is proof you cannot trust white liberal women in politics 100%. 100%. They're all insane as far as I can tell. Let's see. Rosie says, this woman needs prayer. She is so deceived into believing so many lies. Yeah, she's not going to. Radio Streamer says, I have taken care of one of my nephews the past 2 days. I cannot fathom not having the joy of taking my nephew to the park or fishing, not having family as a hell some people don't get a choice in. Oh, not having family is a hell some people don't get a choice in. Well, I mean, there are cases where, there are cases where you just have really bad families that you want to stay with, but that's not the main thing, right? That's fairly rare, actually. Rosie says deeply patriarchal means that men are demons. Do you not understand yet? They are deranged. Yes. Well, they just throw around these words and all these, unproven assertions. And they just get so used to it. And in their bubble, they're never questioned about it. Nobody ever says, well, precisely what do you mean by that? What do you mean by patriarchal system? What system exactly? Point to me exactly where this mechanism, where's this mechanism of patriarchy that you're talking about? That never happens. So they don't need to know anything. They just keep repeating the words, the magic words. Trudeau's Forever says, cafeteria feminist has dreams about being in cafeteria surrounded by women. Hey, Candle Monkey, good to see you. Let's see. Rosie says, the women are deranged, not the men they refer to. Men are a gift made in the image of our creator. Well, I mean, this is the thing is that, like, some men are deranged, some women are deranged, right? But it's what is genuinely deranged is just pretending there is this kind of malevolent force called patriarchy that nobody can really prove that it's there or point to any specific mechanisms by which patriarchy can be utilized, right? Or whiteness, this all pervasive force throughout the universe that affects everything. It's like the force in Star Wars, the dark side of the force in Star Wars. That's deranged. That's delusional. Bambot says needs to find another credit card processor. Tangerine is blocking Rumble again. Ugh. Well, I will have to remember not to have anything to do with Tangerine. Nevada says, pound some coffee, Richie. I need it tonight. I don't know. It's kind of like I need to be have just that sudden miraculous inspiration for those update rants, So, I mean, they do piss me off, though, a lot. They do actually piss me off, the updates. I mean, I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about, right? Like, you've had, maybe there's something that you needed to do, like, for work or something. This is a report or something like that, right? And then the new software comes out and you've got to use it. You don't have any choice. You've got to use the software. And then all of a sudden you're ready to do it. You've got enough time. You've planned it out ahead of time. And then all of a sudden you're ready to go and you turn it on. And what comes up? All of a sudden it's an update prompt. Oh, please update for all of these wonderful new features that'll make your life so much better and make you so special. Don't you want to feel special? Don't you want to feel important? You have to update right now to get that. You wouldn't want to not feel special, would you? You wouldn't want to be left out from all of these wonderful new features, would you? No, of course you wouldn't want that. So what do? You press all right. Well, I'll do it. I mean, they wouldn't want to hurt me. The software makers wouldn't want to hurt me, right? I'm sure they're good people with families at home. They're just working to put food on the table for their families. And you press the button. And guess what? It turns out they hate you. Who are they? You don't even know. They're probably a bunch of people in some warehouse in China somewhere, and their whole point of their existence, they're tasked by the Chinese Communist Party to wreck your life, to send out these updates all over the world to Westerners, to just try and get that, just chip away at that little bit of productivity you might have been capable of that day. Guess what? Fuck you, they say. Fuck you, they say. No, you're not doing it. Not tonight, my friend. Not tonight, Round Eye. Not tonight. Now you're updating. Guess what? Ha 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 ha. China wins. China wins again. We've all been there. We know that the Chinese Communist Party is trying to take over the world. How do they do it? Well, they do it a lot of different ways. They send drugs. They send precursors for fentanyl, right? They send in spies to steal intellectual property. And yes, Yes, they send out updates for software that you need. And you know what? It works perfectly fine. Perfectly well. You wouldn't even have dreamed in a million years that somebody would send an update, because why would you need an update? You've been using this same software for like 3 years now, and there's been no problems. It works perfectly. You're so happy. You probably even wrote some sort of glowing review on the internet for it. It works so good. So good. You wouldn't even have dreamed of improving it. You couldn't have imagined a way to improve that software that worked so well for you for so long. And then the Chinese Communist Party steps into the room. Time for an update, my friend. Time for an update. You don't want to be left behind, do you? The world's moving so fast. Technology is moving so fast. You don't want to be left behind. Just press update. Just press up. There's nothing to worry about. I know that you're suspicious. I know you are. We're just a bunch of hardworking people trying to put food on the table for our families. We're not a bunch of government agents in some warehouse in China somewhere whose whole career is just simply to fuck up your life in the West. Anyway, 99 times out of 100, that update is not necessary. That's all I'm saying. But anyway, if I have a bit more coffee, I might go on a rant later on. Let's see. What else are we talking about? Candle Monkey says, sounds like I missed some commie hate. Izzy got like number 9. Like number 9. So that would be tonight. See, number 7 was 1.25. So I'm going to say number 9, 1.15 good karmas for you. So that's a little extra there. Should help. Candle Monkey, another testimonial here. I clicked like and immediately started understanding Nietzsche. Well, hey, don't understand it too much. That's bad for you. Let's see. Candle Monkey got like number 8. So that's a 1.20 good karmas for you, my friend. Nice. Spambot says, if men in North America went on strike for a month, society would collapse. If they went on strike for a day, for 5 hours, society would collapse. Spambot says there would be no food in grocery stores after a week and no gas diesel after 2 weeks. Yep. That would definitely do it. Electrical grid would collapse in week 3, Spambot says. Candlemonkey, yes. Are those the same weather lady? No. As you can see here at the top, these are from different countries. So there's Spain, there's Bosnia. I like Bosnia. Romania, I like Romania too. She's a lot of fun. Look. Energetic. Italy, very classy and elegant. Who we got next? Turkey. Turkey's looking great. The weather's looking great in Turkey. Anyway, I got distracted by Turkey. Let's see. All right, I got to skip down to the bottom here. Rosie says, update now, rant 11 out of 10. I do believe that's the most you can get out of 10. Thank you, Rosie. Izzy says, love me a good update rant. It wasn't one of my best, I'm going to say. Let's see. Nevada says 11 out of 10. Again, almost the most you can get out of 10. Nevada says, Richie, you just got good karma yourself. Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much. All right. What do we do next? Let's go on. So Trump is not a fan of Somalia. Here's Ed Krasenstein. Ed Krasenstein, him and his brother are they're just what, libbots, I guess. Are they even real people? Breaking, don't ever tell me that Trump isn't a racist again. Don't ever tell me that Trump isn't a racist again. Well, I'm going to tell you that. I don't think he's a racist. I think he's just a realist. Let's take a look.
Somalians ripped off that state for billions of dollars. Billions.
Talking about Minnesota.
Every year. billions of dollars, and they contribute nothing. The welfare is like 88%. They contribute nothing. I don't want them in our country, I'll be honest with you. Okay? Somebody would say, oh, that's not politically correct. I don't care. I don't want them in our country. Their country's no good for a reason. Their country stinks. We don't want them to hell. We have to rebuild our country. And we're going to go the wrong way if we keep taking in garbage into our country. Ilhan Omar is garbage. She's garbage. Her friends are garbage. These aren't people that work. These aren't people that say, let's go, come on, let's make this place great. These are people that do nothing but complain. But when they come from hell and they complain and do nothing but bitch, we don't want them in our country. Let them go back to where they came from and fix it.
So on the political correctness scale, that's a 0 out of 10. On the truth scale, 11 out of 10. Yeah, I mean, look, it's harsh language. It's rough, but where's the lie exactly in that? I mean, if the West is going to save itself, it just has to become comfortable with expressing, what were uncomfortable truths. They do. I mean, why would you want to import populations that are going to be, 50%, 60% taking benefits, unemployment benefits, for instance? Why would you want to do that? Why would you want to import populations that are just going to have a, above average, at least, rate of crime? Like, why would you want that? Take a look around Europe. The statistics are horrific.
We keep taking it.
These statistics are horrific for, these Somalian communities they've imported. You've got, 60% of the males being convicted of a crime by the age of 30. The communities themselves being, 70% on benefits. Why would you want that? It just really doesn't matter. Somalia is a country, not a race. That's a very good point. Don't ever tell me Trump isn't a racist again. This is from the people that would just like to burn down their own society. Just ignore reality. It's politically incorrect, so therefore it can't be true. So it must be racist or something. Anthony Cumia here says, now try to explain how he's wrong. How is he wrong exactly? Not really hearing. Trump would have said the same thing about Swedish if they were running scams on our government and 80% of them were on welfare. Let's be proactive. Let's get rid of the Swedes too. Well, they're men anyway. Look, reality is reality. There's just no way around that. Reality is reality. Let's hear from this guy, a handyman from Minneapolis. What does he have to say?
I'm from Minneapolis, and Somalians are just part of the culture here. As far back as I can remember, I've always seen Somalians. And in these past 5 years, the population increased so much. It went from seeing them to them feeling like the majority a lot of places that I go. And also over the past few years, I've noticed that I see a lot of them with new cars. So I'm a handyman, and I worked on a lot of Section 8 housing to make sure they're up to standard. And one thing I've noticed when I go to these Section 8 houses, one, it's usually a Somali family. And what I mean, usually it's 9 times out of 10. And those houses usually have new cars in the front. I mean, cars with an S, multiple new cars. And what I mean usually is like 8 out of 10 Somali houses, I've seen that. And I always wondered how someone on Section 8 can afford multiple new cars. I just couldn't put it together. So now finding out about this fraud stuff makes so much sense. And you know who I feel bad for other than me for paying for that shit with my taxes is Somalians who came here on the up and up and who didn't break the law. Because as a black man, I know how it feels to be judged because someone else with your same skin color did some stupid shit that you wouldn't approve of. I'm not a Republican or a Democrat, but one thing I do know is I've been saying for years, we need to kick Tim Walsh out because he knew about this shit from the beginning.
So now, was that racist? Of course, the leftists would say that. They'd say that he internalized whiteness, even though he says he's not a Democrat, not a Republican. He's just accurately describing the world as he sees it. Let's see. What did Trump say again?
Of dollars, billions, every year, billions of dollars, and
billions of dollars scammed. And yeah, that might explain all of the new cars. All of the new cars. Let's I want to see what Grok has to say about this. What does Grok have to say? Let's give it a minute. This version of Grok is actually pretty quick. Anthony Cumia's post quotes a video of President Trump's December 2nd, 2025 cabinet meeting remarks decrying Somali immigrants in Minnesota for allegedly draining billions in welfare while contributing nothing, directly challenging claims of racism amid a fresh 250 million plus fraud scandal involving the community. Can you imagine that? You move, like there's basically a colony that just moves to a different country and then immediately starts ripping it off, like just brazenly ripping it off to the tune of $250 million. Fact-checking reveals Trump's 88% welfare figure lacks support. 2018 data shows Somali poverty at 43%, with a recent labor participation at 74%, and upward mobility and home ownership, though federal probes confirm widespread fraud routing funds to Somalia, including potential al-Shabaab links. Oh, that's terrorists. That is terrorists. Let's see. Somali poverty at 43%. So you have to assume 43% would be on benefits, right? Labor participation. Are you sure about? Hold on. Are you sure about participation? What is the percent on government benefits? All right, let's go a little deeper. Hold on. Let's see. Hold on. Let's see. 58%, it's saying poverty rate, most recent estimate from 2023-2024 workforce bill analysis. So that's gone up from the 2018 numbers. And apparently that's down from 65% in the 2010s. This is higher than Minnesota's overall 9.5%. 58%. It's a little bit higher than 9.5%. Let's see. Cash assistance, refugee cash assistance, about 22% remain on it after 3 years. Average monthly benefit, $532 per family. Child care subsidies, 25% of Minnesota's $200 million annual spending. Well, up from 12% in 2012. So, but what percentage, if they're responsible for 25% of the 200 million plus annual spending, what percentage are they of the population? It's in single digits, is it not? Well, let's see. Overall estimate, roughly 40 to 50% of Somali households use at least one major benefit. So you've got 40 to 50%. So that's going to be a net drain, right? So you're not, your society is not gaining from that economically. You're not gaining from. That's going to be a net drain on your society. So why do you want that exactly? Doesn't really make a lot of sense, does it? Like, why would you want that? Unless you're trying to import a permanent underclass. When I think that's probably what they're doing. All right. Let's get back to the chat for a minute. In fact, let's do an ad read quickly. Everybody stay with us. These are really, really fun. Crypto.com. We love it. We love it. All right, everyone. Let's be clear, cryptocurrency is no longer emerging. It's here, and this latest move cements that reality in the biggest way yet. Trump Media Group just inked a massive $6.4 billion deal with Crypto.com, the world's top crypto platform. They're teaming up to scoop up $6.4 billion in CRO, the powerhouse token that fuels fast, low-fee DeFi, staking rewards, and real-world perks like cashback on your spends to launch America's first CRO treasury. When it's done, this new company will be the biggest CRO holder out there. Want in on the action? Head to Crypto.com today and grab some CRO. Let's make crypto great again. Beautiful, beautiful ad read. A lot of momentum in there, positive momentum in there. Beautiful ad read, beautifully written ad, beautifully read. This is really, I think, me operating at my peak when I'm reading the Crypto.com ads. I'm just glad you guys were here to see that. Let's see. Streamer says, my favorite was Larry Elder being called the blackface of white supremacy. That's something I've talked about on this channel many times. LA Times headline, during the recall in California to recall Gavin Newsom, the LA Times actually ran a headline, Larry Elder, the blackface of white supremacy, because he's a conservative. This just shows you all their shit, all the left's bullshit about diverse voices, right? Diverse voices. It's all garbage. They're not interested in diverse voices that disagree with them, right? They're not interested in diverse voices that disagree with, middle-aged white liberal women. It's almost alternate universe stuff that headline could actually get published. And Larry Elder is 1,000 times better, just in every way, than Gavin Newsom, right? By every metric, Larry Elder is preferable times 1,000,000. All right, let's keep going. Let's see. RPW, how you doing? Says taxpayers are paying for their benefits. Yep. Candle Monkey says, hey man, maybe the Somalians just can't catch a break. It sounds like they caught a $250 million break. Let's see. Radio Streamer says, I like Larry Elder. You want to talk about a hustler? Look at Candace Owens. Candace Owens, I don't know what the hell's going on there. I don't know what the hell's going on there. She took a turn somewhere along the way. Maybe she's right. Maybe in like 10 years, 50 years or something, it turns out everything she said was correct. And like Brigitte Macron actually was a man, but also her own father and brother or something. I don't know. Who knows? Izzy says, I think your coffee ads are still the best. Well, we'll get to that. Don't you worry. Let's see. RPW says, California GOP never endorses anyone who can win. I live in California. Well, yeah. I mean, that would seem to be a mistake. Radio Streamer says, I just come here for the ads, really. I stay for the commie hate. Don't worry, that's coming. We already had some commie hate, some good quality commie hate in this stream already. We're only an hour in. Let's see. Radio Streamer says she's very intelligent, according to Timcast. He was talking about it today and said she's absolutely genius and simply doing this to build her brand while maintaining plausible deniability. Well, I don't know. I don't know what the hell's going on. I don't know. Let's see. All right. What's going on here? So breaking. Trump administration to cut off SNAP funding to states who refuse to provide data on SNAP benefits. I guess you just have to, right? I guess you just have to at some point. Like, obviously, the plan is just to maintain this permanent underclass, get them all voting eventually, as soon as possible, and just have this dedicated underclass that will support you forever. That's the goal. That's why they're so resistant to everything, like any kind of responsible accounting. The only reason Democrats don't want to hand over data is because they know there's major fraud and illegals are receiving SNAP. Expose them. This is from Libs of TikTok. Well, yeah, it's just self-evident.
In February of this year, we asked for all the states for the first time to turn over their data to the federal government to let the USDA partner with them to root out this fraud, to make sure that those who really need food stamps are getting them, but also to ensure that the American taxpayer is protected. 21 states said yes, not surprised. 29 states said yes, not surprisingly, the red states. And that's where all of that data, that fraud comes from. But 21 states, including California, New York, and Minnesota, the blue states, continue to say no. So as of next week, we have begun and will begin to stop moving federal funds into those states until they comply and they tell us and allow us to partner with them to root out this fraud and to protect the American taxpayer. As Joe Biden was working to buy an election a year ago, he increased food stamp program funding by 40%. So now as we continue to roll that back. In February of this year, we asked.
And you want to talk about fraud? California, Newsom made it illegal to ask for voter ID. It's just all so transparent, isn't it? They want a permanent underclass that will vote for them forever. And flashback. Somalians in Minnesota tried to help their brethren escape justice at a massive fraud trial by giving a juror around $200,000 in a cash bag for returning a not guilty decision in the verdict. They picked a black female juror and said she could try to convince the others that the prosecution was white supremacist and racist. The juror reported the attempted bribe to the court. This is from 2024. What a lot of people don't recognize is that most cultures outside of the West are clannish, like they're clan cultures, they are honor cultures, and they are loyal to the clan, right? So, and anybody in the clan comes over any outsider. So if you commit a crime against somebody outside of it, right, well, that's fine. So you've got to protect. I mean, that's the honor of the collective honor. These aren't societies based around individual responsibility, individual rights. It's group. Everything is group. It's tribal. It's clan, right? So none of this is surprising. It's actually exactly what you would expect. Their loyalty is to themselves, but they're not going to be loyal to whatever country they set up their colony in, right? Their culture is not going to change. Their culture won't allow them to change. There's a big bag full of money there. Amazing. 5 Somali Muslims have been charged for allegedly trying to bribe a juror to acquit their brethren on trial who were accused of stealing $40 million of American taxpayer money meant to feed hungry children. 5 were convicted at trial earlier this month. The bribe suspects allegedly carried out a plan where $120,000 was given to a juror with the instruction that she had to convince the other jurors the prosecution was a racist. They promised more money. You see how they're using the West's own kind of decency against it, manipulating the West, using its own decency to hurt it, right? This is not what you would expect from it's in the Western mind. It's hard to understand, people moving to a country, being welcomed in, and then immediately trying to take advantage of that country's kindness. They promised more money. 3 of the suspects allegedly destroyed evidence from their phones when they were ordered to surrender evidence. This is the first time in Minnesota history that bribes were made in a federal trial. It turns out not all cultures are the same. They're different. They're quite different. And you ignore it at your own peril, obviously. All right. Let's move on. What do we got going on here? Woke Canada. So the University of Victoria had Francis Widdowson arrested today. This was posted by Chris Erickson. So Francis Widdowson is a professor at Mount Royal University. Well, she was a professor at Mount Royal University in Calgary who was dismissed for woke reasons, for political incorrectness. She's currently suing them. She wants to be reestablished there. But she is doing the street epistemology that Peter Boghossian has been doing. She started doing it herself and going to college campuses in Canada and talking about the questions like the unmarked graves at the residential schools and how there's no actual evidence of them and how this is, in fact, it looks like a hoax, which academia in Canada, not surprisingly, just refuses to accept, right? They don't, it's gone from, well, we need to dig up to prove the unmarked graves are there to, well, you don't need to, and you just have to believe. That's obviously untenable, right? That's not going to work. You cannot hold an entire country emotional hostage and financial hostage as well, it turns out, over just stories. You need evidence. That's the way it's supposed to work. Let's take a look at this. So Francis Widdowson is getting arrested. That's Dallas Brody there, I believe, leader of One BC Party, Conservative Party in BC.
I consider the cops here.
Hold on.
Yeah, I hope so. Everyone, day 2 in Victoria. Live streaming. We are going to the University of Victoria, and I'm not going to say much. Somebody else will probably hold my phone as well too. So, thanks for joining us. Please share the stream.
They said, what do you say if you think you're harmful? The truth does not harm people. The truth is not harmful. That's what I said. People are harming people by pretending that there's 215 children that are buried in the county's afterwards. That caused all sorts of trauma and upset, 4.5 years ago. So now we can establish the truth about this so that people don't have to be traumatized by this situation anymore.
All right, this is 20 minutes. There's another video here. Oh, hold on. There we go. All right, hold on. Where is it? Go back. There's a shorter video. Here we go. So Francis Widdowson arrested at University of Victoria. So this is her being arrested for being politically incorrect at an institution of higher learning, at a university, the last place this should ever happen in a sane society. But let's take a look.
So you're going to arrest me and you're going to take me into the downtown? Off the property?
And then we'll go from there.
Okay. Well, but I have to obey your orders as a member of the police department? Okay.
Excuse me, sir. How many months did the Palestinian protests stay here on the UVic campus?
Okay.
Was it?
Well, that's an interesting point. They didn't seem to care much about the Palestinian protesters spending months on campuses, causing all kinds of trouble. But let's continue.
2
Well,
months.
I have to. So
Was
you're
it 3
ordering me
months?
to. You're ordering me to go with you. Okay. So you're going to arrest me and you're going to take me.
So Canadian universities are completely out of control. They should all be forced to operate as private businesses with no public funding whatsoever. Because I don't see any way out of it, right? Like I don't believe that all of the critical studies, the humanities have been completely infested with wokeness, with the idea pathogen at this point. And I don't believe that they're large critical this, critical that studies, everything gender this, gender that will actually survive without public funding. They might have to just be forced to, reduce the curriculum, reduce their programs to just the core stuff. And if the STEM programs are all woke, well, people won't go to them, right? People will avoid them because that a degree from wherever has a woke STEM program will be like a red flag for future employers. So I think that's the only way. You just have to starve them of money. There is no reason that Canadians should have to pay taxes to support administrations that will allow terrorist support, activism for months on their campuses, and then arrest Francis Widdowson here for trying to do street epistemology. There is no reason. They just have to be starved of funds at this point. And whatever happens to them happens to them. If some have to close down, then some have to close down. They're not doing any good. They're hurting Canada. They are turning out generation after generation of new Red Guard that are determined to burn down Canada, Western civilization as a whole, to the ground. What is the point of it? Like, surely it's got to be better just to not have it at all. It would be better if we had no universities in Canada, quite frankly, at this point. And most of their jobs are going to be made obsolete by AI in the next 10 years anyway. I mean, ChatGPT is already way ahead of ChatGPT is already ahead of most of the critical studies professors anyway. So, yeah, this is the state of Canada. It's really, really pathetic. Drea Humphrey from Rebel News. She's another one of the diverse voices who doesn't count as diverse for the Canadian left. For some reason, she lost her diversity card. Let's see, what does she say? Arrested. University of Victoria is a radical echo chamber. University of Victoria is a radical echo chamber. Well, I guess this is why they don't consider her a diverse voice, right? Because she doesn't, because she's not a rabid leftist, so it doesn't count. Dr. Widdowson was arrested. A 1BC party leader, Dallas Brody, was escorted off the property, and Rebel News was harassed until our security and police stepped in. More to come at kamloopsdocumentary.com. So that's something to maybe write down. kamloopsdocumentary.com. 1BC has put out a documentary on that, on the hoax, the residential school hoax. I've not seen it yet, but I am looking forward to watching it. Let's see. She should have dressed up in a keffiyeh and carried a "From the River to the Sea" sign. Welcome, Ed. I wonder if those activists, who showed up to protest, how many of them ended up actually knowing what river and what sea by the end of it all? Probably not many. Let's see. All right. Woke Canada. Not going well. Not going well at all. Let's go to the chat for a minute. All right. Oh, that's not the right one. Here we go. Let's go to the chat. What's going on here? Radio Streamer says, I may have overboard at chat. I may have turned a $5 pizza into a $12 one with diced toppings, one whole onion, some small sweet and bell peppers, and mixed cheeses. I'm the only one awake. So this is what I do. I always add something extra to it. If I've got some diced up veggies, I throw that on there. I always put on extra cheese. If I've got some salami hanging around, I'll throw that on there too. It really does make a big difference. All right, everybody. I mean, you'd have to be crazy not to do that with a frozen pizza, in my opinion. Radio Streamer says the government is to accounting what Van Gogh is to clean lines and photorealistic painting. Exactly. It's abstract accounting. Let's see. Nevada says college degrees will be worthless by the end of next year. A lot of them will. Streamer says, LOL, most of them already are. Streamer says, I wonder how many African underwater basket weaving degrees actually got someone employed, and how many you want to bet are in politics. A lot. It's also lesbian underwater basket weaving as well. That's also a big one. All right. Let's move on. What's going on? So let's see. We did that. What's this? Hold on. What's this here? Sheldon Yakachuk. I feel like if this van pulled up today, he says, I feel like if this van pulled up today with a handwritten sign across the side that says, free rapid tests inside, get your 8th booster, $50 Tim Hortons gift card, we promise it's safe this time, at least 60% of Canadians would still climb in. An old free candy van from the 1970s. Probably. Canadians are pretty gullible these days. Let's see. What's going on here? Carney gets triggered in the house over his fake housing announcement. Home movie set. So CBC Watcher. So, yes, Mark Carney held a press conference at what was obviously was intended to look like a building site where homes were being built. And it turned out that somebody went back the next day and everything was gone. So it was just a photo op. Pretty cynical, but not surprising from Mark Carney. Let's hear this.
Opposition. Mr. Speaker, the only thing that member built when he was the governor of the Bank of England was the housing crisis in that country. And then he built a tax haven in the Caribbean so he wouldn't have to pay the same taxes he imposes on the Canadian people. Our youth need homes, jobs, and hope. This Prime Minister only offers them broken promises and more sacrifices. He even held a photo op in front of a house that was dismantled after he left it. So here we have a Prime Minister whose houses disappear after he announces them and promises disappear after he makes them.
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
I just want to go back for one sec, because it's really unbelievable that this guy got elected. I mean, all of the lies, and then just this. Listen again.
Mr. Speaker, the only thing that member built when he was the governor of the Bank of England was the housing crisis in that country. And then he built a tax haven in the Caribbean so he wouldn't have to pay the same taxes he imposes on the Canadian people.
Mark Carney, and people knew this. The people that went to vote for him knew this, or they should have known this because it was public knowledge. His company Brookfield, he set up in a tax haven in the Caribbean, so he could avoid paying billions of dollars in taxes in Canada. I mean, people, this was public knowledge. Public knowledge. He's still got just that one thing should have been enough. But in any case, let's hear him respond here.
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the host in that announcement was sent to Nunavut. Nunavut is one of the territories of this great country. Nunavut is more than just a place where you fly in, make a photo op, don't speak to the premier of Nunavut. Nunavut is where we are building 700 houses under built.
Why didn't you say that at the photo op? Why didn't you say, well, yeah, we're going to send this up to Nunavut? Obviously, you're trying to trick the Canadian people. And what was that a hurriedly made arrangement afterwards, after it was discovered that, in fact, the whole thing was just fake? It drives me nuts. They've been doing this for a decade. They're all standing. Yeah. Everything's great. Everything's going to be great with the Liberals. The Liberal Party is great. We're going to fix everything. They've been saying this nonstop for 10 years, and things have just gotten worse, and they continue to get worse, and there's no reason to think that they won't continue to get worse. The charade. It's endless. It's going. Will this just go on till the end of time? Until Canada doesn't even exist as a country anymore? Like the entire country has been given away to like 300 Indian bands, and like we've become a third world country, and the population is dropped by 90%. They'll just still be standing there clapping for themselves. It's weird. Is Canada just San Francisco? It'll just continue to vote for its own demise over and over and over again, and nothing is ever bad enough to change? I don't know. Jasmine Lane posted this. Mark Carney wrote it himself. His plan requires $2 trillion minimum in forced spending in Canada alone. I've shown you guys this as well on this channel. Let's see. Net zero is now the organizing principle for the world's largest companies and the core of the global financial system. Well, he wrote this before the global net zero banking alliance fell apart, including the 4 Canadian banks that pulled out of it. But anyway, so it's a little bit obsolete at this point. It should be the norm across our economies. This will drive the investment needed for the transition to a sustainable future. It's not happening, though. It's still not happening. The scale of that investment is enormous. An estimated $2 trillion of new capital spending in Canada alone. Done properly, it can create high-quality, long-term jobs and speed up our rate of growth while building a better future for everyone. But really? Building a better, sure, for everybody, or just you and your friends? Done properly. Done properly means him and his friends are going to benefit massively. High quality, long-term jobs. Really? You're just saying that. I've seen nothing that would suggest any of this is going to be real. An estimated $2 trillion of new capital spending. You sure it's not $2 trillion of subsidies? Of taxpayer money and maxing out the national credit card? Because I kind of feel that's where we're going. I mean, that's where your budget is going with your $78 billion deficit. This will drive the investment needed for transition to a sustainable. I don't think so. I think it's going to. I think transition to you and your friends becoming unbelievably wealthy. I think that's the game here. Net zero isn't a climate plan. It's an economic restructuring project that puts the government, banks, and companies he's invested in control of every major investment, industry, and household decision. Well, he's also on video saying just that as well. I don't know. I don't think he's changed his mind on any of this stuff. This isn't all stuff from some naive youth. It's like his book Values was published like 4 years ago. All right. What else we got here? All right. What's going on here? So this is stuff that makes you just shake your head and go, What the hell is wrong with Canada? Mark Nixon. According to Abacus, Mark Carney, the man that held multiple passports who lived abroad for 10 years, is more patriotic than Pierre Poilievre. If that's true, then Canadians are officially brain fried. It doesn't make any sense. Carney has barely lived in Canada as an adult. He just parachuted in from the EU like a month before he became prime minister. He was feted by the Canadian media, mainstream media. They put him on a throne with a crown on his head and a sword in his hand and said, "This is the guy you'll take on Trump, evil orange man. He's an economist, didn't you know? Don't look too much into what he did as like the head of the Bank of England, though. Don't actually look at what he did, but the credential sure sounds great, doesn't it?" Carney, let's see. What motivates Carney and Poilievre most? Carney, a sense of duty to Canada, 28%. Poilievre, 16%. Well, at least Poilievre's been here the whole damn time. Ambition for personal power. Carney, 22%. Poilievre, 35%. Ambition for personal power. This is a stupid question anyway, because all politicians, to some extent, obviously, you need to have that dog in you to do it in the first place. Vision for the country's future, 19% Carney. Well, he does have a vision. He does have a vision. It's just a terrible one that will impoverish the country and drive us into further and further into woke psychosis. Poilievre, 13%. The crazy thing about this is that without the mainstream media, if you had an objective media, right, Poilievre's plan is very clear and pragmatic. There's no magic tricks in there. There's no weird, vague promises about somehow net zero makes you more competitive somehow. Okay, while it makes everything more expensive, but that makes it more competitive, right? Poilievre's is just normal, pragmatic, realist policies, like get rid of the red tape, lower taxes, utilize our natural resources, which is the only thing that anybody actually wants from Canada right now anyway. If we do that and we become a wealthy country again, right, and we become a country that is welcoming to innovation and business, right, well, then we can start to create like the next BlackBerry, something like that, something else we can export other than oil and, lumber, that sort of thing. But poor countries don't innovate. This is just reality, right? We need to make ourselves wealthy again. Right now, Canada is not a wealthy country anymore. It's got a standard of living that's going off a cliff. So Pierre Poilievre has just simple, pragmatic solutions that always work every single time. Yet 13% there, and vision for the country's future. Carney with 19. That's just the media. That's just the media's doing. Pressure from their party or supporters, 7% for Carney, 6% Poilievre. Desire to help people like me, 6% for Carney, 13% for Poilievre. So he's winning on that one. Not sure 18, not sure 17%. You see this ambition for personal power, though. I don't know. This makes no sense to me. Sense of duty to Canada, 28% to 16%. That also makes no sense. You can only think this if you know nothing about Carney and you're not willing to think about what he's been doing for the past 20 years. Totally baffling. And it's, if true, this is Abacus data, though. They're pretty good. Now, we do have some encouraging stuff like this. There's a lot, the accurate polls are all showing stuff like this. LPC, 41%, Conservatives, 40%. That's about what I expect. They're both holding steady around where they were at the last election. That seems reasonable to me at this point. It's not been that long yet since the last election. It's not a good thing for the Liberals. They should be still on kind of a high from winning the sugar. The voting populace should still be on a bit of a sugar high from the election. And they're not. So that's not a good sign for Carney. All right. Let's go back to the chat for a second. All right, here we go. What are you guys talking about? What the hell is going on? Everybody subscribe to the channel. If you're not subscribed, subscribe right now and like this stream. Let's see. Radio Streamer says, I may get a van by next year just to write that on the side and wear thick brim glasses just to take my nephews trick-or-treating next year. Just imagine the door opens every stop and you see 6 kids run out of it. That would be funny. That would be a good Halloween thing, but you'd probably also get arrested. Let's see. Let's see. What do we got? All right. Nevada asks, I wonder what Noodles is doing right now. Watching the Weather Channel, obviously. All right. What's going on here? So, actually, you know what? I need to take a break for a second. A couple of minutes. I think you know why I've been drinking a lot of coffee. All right. Let's go back here. And then I'm going to put some music on, and I'll be back in a couple of minutes, everybody. Well, thank you for your patience, everybody. Anybody who's not subscribed to the channel, go ahead and subscribe right now. Anybody who hasn't liked the stream yet, go ahead and like right now and get your free good karma. Let's see what's going on. All right, let's get to the next thing. What are we doing? Polls, Polyev. All right. Pierre Polyev hammers Carney so hard on the broken promises he made that the PM runs out of the House to avoid debate. This is from Cat Canada. Libs claim it's because Carney has to appear at a First Nations assembly to give a speech. Well, he seems to do this quite often, and he seems to avoid Parliament as much as possible for some reason. Maybe because he's not good at it. Maybe it's because he comes off as a smug, elitist technocrat every time that he speaks in public. I don't know. Let's take a look.
He's broken his promise to get big projects built, and now we learn that he has broken his promise to get houses built. He promised during the election he would double home building to 500,000 units per year. Today, the parliamentary budget officer revealed that his brand new bureaucracy will only build 5,000 homes per year, 99% less than he promised, Mr. Speaker, after conservatives built well over 200,000 homes at half the cost today. Why won't he listen to us and stop building bureaucracy so that we can start building homes? Mr. Speaker, the only thing that member built when he was the governor of the Bank of England was the housing crisis in that country. And then he built a tax haven in the Caribbean so he wouldn't have to pay the same taxes he imposes on the Canadian people. Our youth need homes, jobs, and hope. This Prime Minister only offers them broken promises and more sacrifices. He even held a photo op in front of a house that was dismantled after he left it. So here we have a Prime Minister whose houses disappear after he announces them and promises disappear after he makes them. Mr. Speaker, you can't build homes if you run out of the House. Right. And that's what the Prime Minister is doing right now.
Of course he fled. Of course he did. He had a very important meeting. Very important meeting. Carney hates being in there. He hates being held accountable. Again, he's used to just being like the boss, sitting at a board table telling people what to do. And we're hearing a lot of dissatisfaction from within the Liberal Party itself on that note, that they're not happy with the way that he's conducting business, the Liberal Party business. So, yeah, you know, Pierre Polyev hammers Carney so hard that he runs out of the House to avoid debate. You know, eventually, I think this is going to break through. Eventually it's going to break through. I think Pierre Polyev is doing, by doing podcasts, long form content, by going to the parliamentary press gallery dinner and then, cracking jokes, getting up there, letting doing his little thing with the, this hour has 22 minutes, Pierre Polyev impersonator. These are all good things. They're humanizing things. It's breaking through the narrative and the framing of the CBC and the rest of the mainstream media in Canada, who hates Polyev because they believe, rightly, that he's going to stop funding them. He's going to cut off their funding, their public money, right? So they're very desperate to frame him as this mean guy, and nobody really likes him because he's mean and his tone. He's got a divisive tone. Did you know that Pierre Polyev is the first politician in all of history that was divisive? Did you know that? Shocking. Shocking, isn't it? So he's doing a great job, and I'm a supporter. I will vote for him again. And I think he's been doing himself a benefit, again, by doing the stuff outside of Parliament, because it will color the way people view exchanges like this in Parliament, right? They've been conditioned. Too many Canadians have been conditioned to just see him and just immediately think there's just something deeply unfashionable about him because, the CBC teleprompters told them so. Anyway, what do we got next? From Pierre Polyev, looks like an ad here. One man's broken promise to negotiate a win 1,000 families who paid the price. Well, yes, Algoma Steel has laid off 1,000 people after receiving $500 million from Carney. Got like public money from Carney. Let's take a look.
How much steel are you using these days?
Trump has followed through on his latest tariff threat, signing an order to increase his steel and aluminum levy to 50%.
We can't swallow a 50% increase, and the customers in the U.S. won't pay 50% more.
90% of our aluminum exports went to the United States, 90% of our steel. We estimate that U.S. tariffs and the uncertainty that they're creating will cost equivalent of $1,300 for every Canadian.
Algoma Steel is issuing layoff notices for roughly 1,000 workers. The company says it has been significantly impacted by U.S. tariffs.
When was the last time you spoke to the president?
Who cares? I mean, it's a detail. It's a detail. I spoke to him. I'll speak to him again when it matters.
How much steel you?
Well, I don't think it ever mattered to him. And I don't think that Mark Carney has been trying to get a deal. I think he's been sabotaging it the entire time because he just sees it as a political opportunity, one he doesn't want to give up. I think it's a mistake because that's what he ran on. And, he certainly can't do elbows up again, not after the performances he's put on when he's actually met Trump. the toadying performances he's put on, and also his inability to get anything done. But I think he still sees this as something he can run on in the next election, maybe in the spring or in the summer. So I don't think he's ever actually wanted to get a deal in the first place. Also, too, he's got this obsession, obviously, with trying to draw us closer to the EU, that crumbling edifice, the EU. The largest economy in the EU is shrinking, Germany. They've been deindustrializing themselves on purpose, foolishly, with the net zero nonsense that Mark Carney has been peddling for years now. But yeah, so one man's broken promise to negotiate a win, 1,000 families who paid the price. But he's increasing industrial carbon taxes, and he's getting his carbon capture stuff. That's in no way going to benefit Brookfield or him or his friends in any way, obviously, right? So, let's see. Yeah, he handed Algoma $400 million with no job guarantees. Now 1,000 steel workers in Sault Ste. Marie have lost their jobs. Mark Carney promised to negotiate a win with the U.S., another bait and switch. I don't think Carney cares. I don't think he cares at all. And here's what I'm talking about. Him making an effort to break through the mainstream media framing of himself. Pierre Poilievre says, to double my political productivity and vote count, I have cloned myself. Watch Pierre Poilievre, both of them, address admirers in the press gallery. So this is something that no conservative leader has gone to, I think, in about 6 years. But Pierre Poilievre went this time, and it's crucial for him to do this kind of stuff. To break through the media framing. Now, CTV is not going to show much of this, right? Or any of the good parts, obviously, because this is against their framing. But but let's take a look here. So here's the impersonator from This Hour is 22 Minutes, a Canadian comedy sketch show that you probably haven't heard of, but it's the biggest one in the country.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. Very nice, very nice. Good evening, gentlemen and biological clocks.
So, yeah, it's not a great Pierre Poilievre, I have to say. He does a much better Justin Trudeau, actually. And I'm not just saying that for partisan reasons. It actually is much funnier. But here is him and Pierre. Here is Pierre Poilievre, making light of it, right? And this is good. This is the kind of humanizing that he'll never actually get on the CBC itself.
CBC. Long live the CBC, everybody. Long live the CBC.
So, the press gallery all hates Pierre, but even they couldn't help but give an applause for that, right? Now, their applause dies off pretty quick once he starts roasting them. But again, this is good. This is positive. This is what he needs to do. He needs to do more of this, more podcasts, more long form content to break through the constant, relentless negative framing. Let's move on. All right. Actually, I want to hear what you guys have to say about this first. Let's see. Radio Streamer says it's always Big Polish in Canada. Is it Big Polish or Big Polish? I don't know. I know what's going on. Swebot says PP is better than Fat Stalin. Jason Kenney. He's the former leader of the UCP in Alberta, who conservatives ended up not liking at all because he didn't actually behave like a conservative, really. And he's still not, actually. He was like a Aaron O'Toole type, really. Radio Streamer says the real question, Fat Stalin or Kamala Harris? Kamala Harris. I would take Fat Stalin over Kamala Harris. Radio Streamer says you have to like the person at least a little to do a good impersonation. Well, yeah, I would agree. And his impersonation is not great of Polyev. And, they had to have obviously met up and rehearsed that beforehand, coordinated that. So, I don't think he liked him any better after meeting him, but they are extremely biased. Chef Rico, how you doing? All right, let's move on. Let's go to memes. So a wonderful thing has happened. There's a new Pepe the Frog. And it's a marvelous, beautiful thing that has happened. We have a new Pepe the Frog, and it's Franklin from the children's books. Let's see. Maverick Alexander posted this, a classic Franklin story. Franklin and Elon go to space after saving the West. This is great. I love it. It gets a lot better than that, though. Let's see. Old Jack Spirit posted this one. Franklin don't care. Franklin don't give a shit. Franklin renounced his Canuck citizenship. He's merkin now. Let's see. Franklin celebrates Killdozer Day. Bureaucracy. Killdozer Day. That's a nice one. Yeah, and Franklin it's a Canadian series of books. But everybody knows it. Let's see what happened here. Kids Can Press. So that's who publishes the books. What do they say? Franklin the Turtle is a beloved Canadian icon who has inspired generations of children and stands for kindness, empathy, and inclusivity. We strongly condemn any denigrating, violent, or unauthorized use of Franklin's name or image, which directly contradicts these values. Well, guess what? It's satire, so you can go screw yourself. Stands for kindness, empathy, and inclusivity, and killdozering. Let's move along, shall we? I don't know if I've seen anything that I've loved this much in a long, long time. Let's see. Maverick Alexander. Maverick Alexander posted this one again. Franklin is exhausted. What's this? Franklin grows tired of immigrants and their behavior. Look at him here. Look at him here with his arms crossed. He's not happy. He's had enough. There's like a bear with a hijab on there, and then the fox with the Mexican hat on. He's had enough. He's tired of immigrants and their behavior. Oh dear. Oh dear. Let's see. What's this one? New Franklin book just dropped. Franklin and Pete Hegseth laugh at communists. I like it. I like it. I would read that. If I only had young children, I would buy them all of these wonderful and educational new Franklin books. Let's see. Franklin defends the border with force. And he's happy about it. Finally. And look, there's the other animals there. They're helping him out. Finally, Franklin says, finally, I get to do something useful. Let's see. What's this? We might need some literature to explain to the adult babies why this is smart. I propose Franklin targets narco-terrorists. There he is, blowing up the drug boats. Franklin, and he's happy. He's happy about it too, because he knows that he's doing something good, and he's helping his community and his friends. Let's see. I think there was an animated one of that. Somebody had animated it too, but I guess it's not there. Maverick Alexander again. All the while, I continue to make elite Franklin covers. Franklin throws up in his mouth a little. He's reading about Ilan Omar, who married her brother. This is way better than all like the weird gender wank stuff they're putting in kindergartens now. Way better. Let's see. Franklin prints a ghost gun. Nice. Again, educational. What's this? What do we got here? Trust the science. There's that crazy lady from the Trump inauguration in 2016 or 2017. Sorry. There's the crazy lady from the Trump 2017 inauguration. Let's see. Boy, girl. All right. Not that science. She says, not that science. She means the science TM, the science trademark. Let's see. It's been a tough week for Franklin the Turtle. He was just trying to help. From Burt Macklin. Well, let's see. Franklin gets falsely accused of war crimes. Where's Senator Mark Kelly? He must be in this. That must be, is that, no, he's not, no, there's no baldies there. No bald guys. It can't be him. Oh, well. Let's see. What's this one? If we divide 125 genders by 3 bathrooms, how much climate change do we have? Let's see. If we divide 125 genders by 3 bathrooms, how much climate change do we have? I think it's 78 misgenderings, I think. I don't know. I'm not sure how that works. Nobody really does understand how any of that works. Let's see. In my country, I am forced to keep my mouth shut. Here, I'm free to talk trash about this country in hopes it changes into a country where I'm forced to keep my mouth shut. It almost makes you wonder if some people don't immigrate to assimilate, if they just immigrate to set up colonies in the hopes that one day they can just take over. It makes you wonder sometimes. What's this one? Franklin makes a meme. There we go. Which meme is this? Oh, Franklin targets narco-terrorists. He's happy. He's doing a really good job. Let's see. I guess that's it. For the memes. They're pretty good though. What's this one here? Gay Retard National Park. Well, I don't know what to say. All right. Somehow a bunch of old ones got mixed up in this. What's this? Would you like a leg, Lieutenant Dan? At Thanksgiving, no. He's not happy. Not happy about that. Lieutenant Dan is not happy. What's this here? Every time, let's see. Enjoy life, buy a fancy house and yacht, Work hard 7 days a week to help humanity. Elon Musk. He picks the work hard 7 days a week. Apparently he works like 18 hours a day, 7 days a week. And that's what he does. And the left hates him for this. Because they're retards, I think. What's this? Alpha Liger posted this. One must go. Let's see. Turkey stuffing, cranberry sauce. Well, I do like the cranberry sauce. I like all these things. Green bean casserole. I don't know if I'm all about that. The Fed, bread. Well, I got to have the bread. Pumpkin pie, sweet potato casserole, mashed potatoes. I don't know. I feel like you guys might say the Fed. Let's see. What's this? From Thank God It's Meme. Sometimes memes just make themselves. What's she dreaming of? That hamburger, that chicken burger there. Is that Chick-fil-A? Looks like she's pretty happy. Dreaming about eating. Let's see. ICE should show IDs and identify themselves. So should voters. Not happy. Not happy. But that is the way their brains work, the purple-haired gremlins. It's weird. Already did that one. Let's see. He started believing things that weren't true. At first, I thought it was Alzheimer's. Then I realized he was watching CBC. That is the top way of actually getting Alzheimer's, I think, in Canada. Or some sort of brain disease. All right, that's the memes. We're 2 hours in, people. Good Lord. What's going on? Chef Rico says, more Franklin. The Franklin is great, isn't it? It's gold, isn't it? Streamer says, yep. Spambot Fodder says, I would keep only the mashed taters. Oh, come on. What about the turkey? Streamer says, someone animated the narco drug boats one. I know. I saw that earlier, but I don't want to bother finding it right now. Let's see. Spambot says, what is Pepe the Frog? It was a hilarious meme. This crudely drawn frog that was kind of adopted by like 4chan and just, it was basically used. They wanted to see if they could get the left, which was behaving utterly ridiculously back in, I think it's like back in 2015 or earlier, actually. But the news was getting so ridiculous. They were becoming so kind of gullible, or they were becoming so credulous around anything right-wing that they wanted to see if they could get the mainstream media to call a crudely drawn cartoon frog racism or far right or white supremacy or something. And it actually worked. And it was funny. Let's see. What else we got? Bambot says, since my divorce, I committed to never cooking another hated bird. I'm so sorry to hear that. Chef Rico says, Pepe is the reason Trump won. I think it helped. All right, what's going on here? From Colin Wright. I've been bringing these to you every week from Colin Wright. He finds these insane, death of Western civilization papers, these academic papers. This one is Crip Guts, Stomas, and the Violence of Returning to Normal. A feminist, queer, Crip approach to the gut. So, from the abstract here, what is a feminist, queer, Crip approach to the gut? Nobody knows, not even you. How might we use feminist, queer, Crip theory to make sense? Is that crippled? Crippled? I think Crip is for crippled. To make sense of non-normative guts. How might we use feminist, queer, crippled theory to make sense of non-normative guts? Again, nobody knows, not even you. I want to see, we have to do a fact check. I think crip probably means crippled, because that's a virtue in that left-wing world. So they'd want to get that in. Hold on. Fact check. Let's see. Yes, crip is a shortening of cripple, a word that has historically been used as a derogatory term for people with disabilities. I think it's just kind of a descriptive word, really, right? However, within disability communities, crip has been reclaimed as a positive and empowering term by some individuals and activists to describe themselves, their identity, and their community. So it's been reclaimed. They've reclaimed the word crippled and turned it into crip because that makes everything better. Let's see. This paper is an autoethnographic reflection on my crippled guts. Nobody wants to think about your crippled guts. Nobody wants to reflect on your crippled guts. I guess if you want to do it on your own time, I suppose that's fine. I still think it's a waste of human potential, but whatever. Let's say specifically being diagnosed with ulcerative colitis, a form of inflammatory bowel disease, and having a colectomy surgery to remove my colon, Jesus, to create an ileostomy, a type of stoma. I consider the epistemic complexities of being both patient and researcher and the importance of acknowledging multiple forms of expertise, putting my autoethnographic reflections into conversation with a variety of texts. Well, if you'd asked me first, I would have said, maybe just shut the fuck up about it. It's gross. I argue that my crippled guts, provide an embodied, if stigmatized, form of knowledge. The rest of us just call it passing wind. Form of knowledge that complicates academic lived experience and body-mind divisions alongside necessitating more holistic responses to crippled guts. Beyond individualizing biomedical models, I don't know what any of this means. I don't have any advice other than maybe lay off the chili. I examine the violence of discourses of normality around bodily differences. The violence of discourses. So, words are violence, apparently. I examine the violence of discourses of normality around body difference and the complex temporalities of the gut. The complex temporalities of the gut. I think that's just some expired yogurt. Through a focus, three key moments in my gut experience. Does anybody want to hear about the 3 key moments in her crippled gut experience? No? No takers? Late diagnosis and not being believed, stoma representation and stigmatized imagined futures, and gut remembering colonial past. The gut remembering colonial past. Let me repeat, the gut remembering colonial past. Is this some sort of like the grossest kind of mysticism that's ever been created? Before arguing for queer, because it's got to be queer, stoma pride as destigmatized collective refusal of normative gut discourse and valuation of crip gut knowing. None of that means anything. This is all entirely just a made-up fantasy world, and a gross one at that, a disgusting one. The gut remembering colonial past. Okay, that doesn't happen. I'm just going to be perfectly frank here, right? That didn't happen. It's not going to happen. It's never going to happen because your gut remembering colonial past isn't a real thing. That's made up. That ain't real. Queer stoma pride. I don't see what's to be proud of here. It's like, where is the accomplishment in any of this? I don't see it. I mean, I'm sorry about your stomach problems, right? I'm not sure this is the best way to deal with it. I'm not sure inflicting the world with this is the way of dealing with it. And none of this makes any sense. Destigmatize collective refuse. So collective, what? Are we supposed to all jump on board with this? Normative gut discourse. And valuation of gut knowing. Knowing. Your stomach knows. Your stomach knows. Yeah. I don't know. This is just of all of the just weird gibberish that we've seen from academia, this is actually the grossest so far. Nature. This was published in Nature. Nature has just published one of the most insane papers imaginable. In Woke Studies, feminist queer crip theory, or feminist queer cripple theory, leads the pack in terms of derangement. But Nature, that's supposed to be like a really reputable, honored publication. Nature has now embraced it, publishing an autoethnographic paper about crip guts, queer stoma pride, the intergenerational trauma inflicted upon the author's guts by British colonialism in Ireland. Good Lord. And how crip cuts bestow people with situated ways of knowing that undermines Western biomedical models of knowledge production. A real quote from the paper. I was processing some memories around my gut condition and became overwhelmed with sadness and grief. It felt ridiculous explaining to the English therapist what had come up because the only way I could describe it was famine grief. Something tells me that this lefty lady is not exactly starving to death. The Irish famine of the 1800s is, of course, before my time, but in that therapy session, I felt overwhelmed with a grief that felt larger than my own. So you were using your imagination? I made sense of this feeling through the framework of intergenerational trauma and described it as feeling the pain of famine lingering in my guts. Do something else. I don't know. What is the benefit to Western civilization, to anything, to anybody? It's all gibberish. This is all just insanely, unimaginably narcissistic gibberish. It doesn't mean anything. It's a word salad meant to give a false authority and substance to something that has no authority or substance. It's just weird, far left, woke metaphysics. How much more productive could the world be if all of the time and the money put into producing this literal utter garbage were put into something useful? Like if you took all of this energy and all the expense and put it towards curing cancer, would cancer just be cured next week? Probably. Total and utter madness. All right. Let's go to the next thing. What's going on here? Bill C9. Yes, so the Liberal Party of Canada wants to criminalize the Bible, right? Pierre Poilievre says here, Liberal bloc amendment to C9, Bill C9, will criminalize sections of the Bible, Quran, Torah, and other sacred texts. And other sacred texts. Well, you know that the Quran is not going to be criminalized. You know that. It's going to be used arbitrarily, right? Yeah, Bible, Torah, probably. And that's probably about it, right? So those are the two you're allowed now. The Jews have been made honorary whites at this point, right? So they're allowed to be arbitrarily oppressed as well. But mainly it's for the Bible. Let's be honest here. Mainly that's for the Bible. They're not going to dare criminalize sections of the Quran. They are not going to dare criminalize sections of the Quran. Obviously not. Conservatives will oppose this latest liberal assault on freedom of expression and religion. So sign here, defend religious freedom, keep liberal thought police out of your place of worship. And this is going to target Christians, obviously.
If someone were literally invoking a passage from in this case, the Bible, but there are other religious texts that say the same thing, and somehow say that this is good faith. I mean, clearly,
like he only mentions the Bible. He says, "Oh, well, there's other texts too," but he doesn't name those ones. He just talks about the Bible. That's because this is just for the Bible, is why.
there are situations in these texts where these statements are hateful. They should not be used to invoke or be a defense, and there should perhaps be discretion for prosecutors to press charges. I just want to understand what your notion of good faith is in this context, where there are clearly passages in religious texts that are clearly hateful. If someone were literally
where are all these crimes that are inspired by hateful verses in the Bible? Mark Miller, where are they all exactly? I'm sure you could name them. If there were a bunch of them, you could give us a bunch of examples to describe to us why it is so necessary to do this. Why exactly? I mean, we know you're not going to talk about any crimes motivated by any, those other texts, any of those other ones other than the Bible. We know you're not going to do that for sure. And this is not intended for those either. But why not mention a couple of them, Mark Miller? Why not mention a couple? Is it because there are none? And this is just purely political to pacify your own voters, and especially your new voting base, right? Your new one, the ones that are out praying in the streets constantly, those ones, the ones that are walking around with their keffiyehs and screaming death to Canada, death to the U.S., death to Israel, those ones. I feel like they're not going to get affected by any of this. All right. Let's see. Canada land claims. So, Bruce McGonigal posted this. Now, Canada is going through utter insanity right now. We've got activist judges just giving away the country, just giving away land title to bands of maybe 1,000 people, maybe 47 people, maybe 87 people, literal private property. Like private property is now at threat across the country, particularly in British Columbia. It's of course the kind of logical conclusion of wokeness and anti-colonization. This is the logical conclusion of the mind virus, the idea pathogen that's taken over every institution and guides much of the judiciary in Canada now. Let's see. Chief Jean-Guy White Duck of the Kitigan-Zibi First Nation started a land title claim for much of the Ottawa Valley in Ontario and Quebec. So the Ottawa Valley in Ontario and Quebec. He cites the successful land title challenge in British Columbia as a motivating factor and to the frustration in dealing with the government of Quebec, as well as a potential separation referendum by the people of Quebec. Well, let's take a look here.
I speak on behalf of my nation. We occupy the Ottawa River Valley territory, and we have 9 communities in Western Quebec and 1 in Ontario. Equacacan in Ontario. We have Abitibi-Winnie, Temiskaming, Capowet, Wolf Lake, Long Point, Kitsayakik, Lac Simon, Fire Lake, and ourselves, Kitigan-Zibi. We're one of the closest one to the Ottawa Centre here. This is our traditional territory. We've never ceded this territory. We claim Aboriginal title to this land. We deal with a very difficult government in Quebec who does not recognize any rights outside the reserves. And the federal government doesn't step up to the plate to defend.
We have a remarkable number of hereditary chiefs in Canada that would you would be forgiven for mistaking them for a British pub owner. Right? I think there's I saw one who was like a ginger, right? Aye, laddies, we were here first. It's a strange thing. If you were one of the original settlers of Canada and you'd spent a month sailing to Canada and you got to the shores and that guy greeted you, you'd think you just got in a circle, right? It's one of these weird things in Canada, and it's a lot of them.
Our interests.
Anyway, this is all lunacy, and Pandora's box is wide open, folks. Yes, it is. David Eby, that's the premier of British Columbia, dismissed him outright at the time, but has backtracked to admit the loss of the land title case by the city of Richmond will impact private property rights. Well, this is after Conservative Party of BC leader John Rustad warned British Columbians and all of Canada during the October 2024 BC election that this was coming. He's also one of the people, though, unfortunately, John Rustad, when he was a Liberal, who set the stage, the political and the legal framework for this to happen as well. So there's plenty of blame to go around. But it's all total madness. And, like, I don't think it's dawned on most Canadians yet, like, what a real catastrophe this would be for the country if it's allowed to just continue and linger on and linger in courts for the next decade. Uncertainty over private property. The private property in British Columbia, and 95% of British Columbia is at risk of this, by the way. It's $2.2 trillion. Right? This is a financial catastrophe. Right? The people in Richmond who've already fallen prey to this, their home equity is gone. They can't access their home equity. They can't get a home equity loan. They can't re-up their mortgages. Right? This is a catastrophe. I think an economic catastrophe. People are worried about Canada breaking up. Right? The integrity of Canada. Forget about Alberta independence. Forget about Quebec. This is it right here. It is a catastrophe that has to be dealt with. It's genuinely a crime that Mark Carney has not actually addressed this. Mark Carney should have booked an hour on the CBC. They'd be glad to give it to him to talk about this and assure Canadians that your private property is yours. Don't worry. We're going to stop this. I know they have filed an appeal, but they need to be up front and center about this. I mean, this is the thing that will destroy leftist politics in Canada forever. The longer this lingers on. And it could easily just destroy the country in general. Right? It's a catastrophe. All right. Let's take a look at some Katie Hopkins. She's always extremely amusing. Can't see the point in working in the UK? Feel like the government are laughing at you? Or are you being mocked by the freeloaders? A very personal overshare. Hoping it helps. Let's take a look. Obviously, she is hated by the left in the UK.
A lot of messages from people who just feel totally kicked in the head by this country. Like, what is the point? What is the point of going to work when you're just going to pay for everything? What is the point in trying, where if you don't try, you get given everything? What is the point in making an endeavor to get dressed in the morning, to go to work in a job you might not like, to try and earn some money to sustain your family, when those fuckers down the road get everything for free? And the less they do, the more they get. And the more issues they can create, the more they get. And I totally, totally hear you. I totally do. And there's no way of making that immediately right. However, decent people will always need to have purpose. The only way I can stay alive is if I have purpose and discipline and self-discipline. And sometimes in life, it's not about whether things are fair, because so often, as has been true in my life, you could argue many things have been unfair, epilepsy, for example. However, making a personal decision to do the right thing, to try and do something that you enjoy, to have purpose that you think fulfills you, that you raise your family on your terms and you don't ask people for anything, that is a very satisfying way to live your life. It's not that helpful, probably. But I remember when I got tricked into going over and I thought I was going to help the white farmers. And in fact, I was being given an award, but it was about the farmers. And I actually got given the cunt award, and I was tricked and made to look like a massive, massive idiot. And the whole world, millions, I think 20, 30, 40 million people watched and laughed at me because I'd been made a fool. And I think there is some parallels there with how people feel in the UK right now. We've been made to feel like we're fools. We've been made to feel like we're being laughed at because we're making an effort and those cunts aren't. Sorry for the, well, actually, it's just a true word. But it came a little bit out of nowhere. And you're being made to feel like you're having the piss taken out of you for trying in this country, when the people who don't try, who have no place here, who don't belong here, are rewarded for doing nothing. And that makes you feel like you're being taken for a ride. And that's the sort of parallel with me journeying over to support something and then finding out I was just being laughed at. But I will say this to you, is when I got back from getting that cunt award and then realising that I was the subject of international humiliation, at the same time, actually, as my Twitter account was removed, same weekend, my daughter said to me, because I was kind of on the floor in the sense of, there's only so many times someone can swing a baseball bat at you before eventually you do just lie on the floor. And I will say that my daughter said to me, did you do what you said you would do? And were you nice to everybody there? And were you nice to the staff, the hotel staff, as in normal people who I'm always, they're my people? And I was like, yes, I did. And she said, well, then you did what you said you would do. And so there's something about that, I think, that's important, which is, even if you feel like you're being mocked, and even if you are, in my case, if you did what you said you would do, and in your heart you did the right thing, that will never be wrong. And it will always stand you in terrific stead, and you can call on it when other times are tough. I wouldn't want to be one of those people sat at home being paid for everything, because I wouldn't be able to sit well with myself when times were tough. So that's my sort of thought on that. That ended in a bit of a serious manner, didn't it? So my friends, I can't see your comments. So I don't know if we died, but never mind. I won't worry about that. I hope you have a lovely weekend. Try and take moments where you just let it all, put it behind you and keep walking forwards. And remember, if you're doing the right thing, it can never be wrong. And I very much look forward to seeing you on the road next year. If you see me as an inflatable chicken, do say hi. And if you haven't got tickets yet for Free Range Tour, we just fully sold out the first night in Stamford in 24 hours. Then if you go to Katie's Arms, katie'sarms.com, the tickets are there. So if you did want to grab one early, it's probably a good idea. And thanks so much for all your kindness. Thanks for all the support you give me out and about on the road. And I will see you out on the road very, very soon. Have a really, really lovely weekend.
So integrity, self-accountability, determination, that's just a good person there. And it really highlights the viciousness of the left. Right? To go through something that elaborate to just humiliate a woman. Like, it really is vicious. Like, they're nasty people. Like, that's so much nastier than anything Katie Hopkins has ever said or done. And that to take this perverse pleasure in it, like everything that comes out of the modern left is in some way negative and perverse in some way, right? Like, I don't think they can just feel anything pure or decent anymore. I mean, look, I've got probably not the most enviable sense of humor in the world, but I'm not vicious, right? They are vicious and nasty. And it seems with everything, they take this perverse pleasure while they burn down their own civilization and ultimately their own lives and futures. It's maddening and it's gross and it's scary. I mean, real stupidity is kind of terrifying because, the genuinely stupid can be convinced to do anything. All right. Anyway, that was actually fairly powerful, wasn't it? I hadn't watched it before we played it, and that was quite powerful. It's a little different from what we normally get from Katie Hopkins. What are you guys saying? Let's see. Let's see. Steve Tollison, how you doing? Good to see you. He says, you guys up north are nuts. True. But we could 1 hour behind you or 10 years behind you. Not quite sure yet. But the one thing I'm sure of is this is coming. Yeah. It's the same in every Western country. I mean, you guys dodged a bullet in 2024. But it's not gone away. And Trump didn't win by 30 points. He won by a couple of points. So, you've got to be vigilant. Let's see. Let's see. Spambelt Fodder says King Poofter Charlie is wrong about Alberta. Well, yeah, I think he said all of Canada basically is not Canada, didn't he? Steve Tollison says if that doesn't wake people up out there, nothing will. The land grab he's talking about. Yeah, it's insanity. I still think a lot of Canadians don't really know the seriousness of it yet. Jeff Rico says Alberta is the lone source of common sense left. Well, Saskatchewan's pretty common sense. And I've got a feeling that BC is going to become a lot more common sense as more people realize, again, the seriousness of the situation. Rosie says, Katie looks so elegant there, so different from the outdoor ones. I love her sharing here. She's great. She's extremely brave. She's been through a lot. Chef Rico says, I want to start an Alberta flag campaign like Ukraine. You'll probably get banned from social media if you do. You can do it on X. Let's see. Rosie says, Katie's words should be raising your IQ. Let's see. Steve says, Katie is the most impressive woman on the world news right now. She's great. Let's see. Steve says, real stupidity is very scary. I just have a hard time believing that it's stupidity. Well, yeah, it's up for debate. Let's see. Spambot's got a link that we're supposed to look at yesterday. All right, let's take a look. Let's see. Got to remember to bring the screen back again after I get this up. All right. Okay, here we go. I've got this in the Alberta Independence bookmark. I wasn't going to get it tonight. I was going to get it the next time I want to deal with that. But we can do it now. Breaking news. Lukaszuk petition certified. It could trigger a referendum on Alberta's future. Elections Alberta has officially validated Thomas Lukaszuk's citizen initiative petition entitled Alberta. Hold on, people. I got to get my brain together for a second. I better have a sip of coffee. What are we, 2 hours and 30 minutes in? My brain is breaking down. And also some nicotine. Hold on. There we go. Citizen initiative petition entitled Alberta Forever Canada. With 404,000 verified signatures, the petition easily surpassed the 10% threshold required under Alberta law. So he's a guy who wants Alberta to stay in Canada. The proposed referendum question, do you agree that Alberta should remain in Canada? A thing about this is you could vote against that in a referendum. That's the thing. You could say, no, I don't. And that answer would also count. A certified copy of the proposal is now being submitted to the Speaker of the Legislative Assembly, placing the next move squarely in the government's hands. Why this matters. Under the Citizen Initiative Act, the legislature must now consider whether this petition should ultimately result in a provincial referendum. Here's the key point. A government-initiated referendum asking whether Alberta should remain in Canada inevitably opens the door to a province-wide debate on separation. Whether intended or not, this petition forces elected officials to confront the very question they've spent years trying to avoid. Should Alberta stay in Confederation or chart its own path? Next steps required by law. The Speaker must table the proposal once the legislature sits. Within 10 sitting days, the government must move to refer it to a committee. That committee then has 90 days to recommend A, reporting back to the Assembly, B, sending the proposal to Cabinet to call a referendum. If a referendum is approved, it must be held on or before October 18th, 2027. Bottom line, this petition does not guarantee a referendum, but it forces the question into the legislative process and onto the political stage. And once the question, should Alberta remain in Canada, is formally on the table, so too is the possibility of a historic referendum on separation. So, I mean, it's not by no means guaranteed that that would result in a vote to leave. And I haven't seen any numbers, any polling that would suggest that the question you want to stay in Canada would lose. But things can move quickly, and that's October 2027. So a lot can happen in that time, especially when the country's falling to pieces. All right, Katie Hopkins, what do we got next here? Kath Lang was forced out of the BBC. This is from the Free Speech Union. She was disciplined for raising serious concerns about the lack of impartiality in reporting on transgender issues and the censorship of gender-critical perspectives. So the BBC is very much like the CBC. In Canada, they're both state media, publicly funded. They're both totally unrepresentative of the population as a whole. They are extremely partisan and biased, and they do not represent the society as a whole and all viewpoints in any way, including majority-held viewpoints. So very similar. In fact, that also describes even non-state media like CNN or MS Now. But let's see this. Let's see what she has to say about the BBC.
Perhaps there wouldn't have been that spike to the Tavistock of children. Perhaps we wouldn't have so many children damaged. It's a tragedy when you think about the affirmation that we as an industry conducted was on an industrial scale. I mean, it was every single story was affirmative. And meanwhile, women they couldn't get a voice. And it was like going back to the days when women were fighting for a vote and they had to go and stand on boxes in town squares. And that is what 100 years later, women were having to do because they couldn't get on any broadcast platform. They couldn't get themselves in the press. It was like a lockdown of alternate voices. Perhaps there wouldn't have been that spike.
Yeah, let's see. I wonder if it was helpful to spread the social contagion, of that gender theory. Having the BBC only running positive, affirming stories. It's the same in Canada with the CBC. It's the same with really all mainstream media. It's shameful. It is something that history will condemn all of them, every one of them, every last teleprompter reader who didn't say, hold on a second, I'm not going to read this off the teleprompter this time. Every single, producer who brought in the experts who aren't really experts, right? Just the people who would push the narrative, the preferred politically correct narrative. All of these people will be condemned by history because it's, in my mind, probably the greatest medical scandal in history. It's grotesque, and it's the greatest, most perverse medical scandal in history because they were doing it to children. And that's what makes it so, so unforgivable. Discuss why balanced, impartial broadcasting is essential for public discourse and debate in this week's episode of That's Debatable. All of those people in the mainstream media, and obviously in the BBC in the UK, they have blood on their hands. They have blood on their hands. They ruined a lot of lives. And history will condemn them. All right. Let's move on. EU, Graham Linehan. So we've covered what's been happening with Graham Linehan when he got arrested at Heathrow Airport for having tweeted for a tweet that offended a trans person. He was a kind of Graham Linehan wrote some very, very popular sitcoms in the UK, like Father Ted, The IT Crowd. Was always a leftist, default, reflexive leftist liberal, until he started talking about trans issues. And he was not just repeating the narratives on that, after which case he's been basically exiled from the British entertainment industry. He's moved to Arizona, I believe, actually, so he can actually speak freely. But they took the opportunity to arrest him at Heathrow when he returned, again, over a tweet, as they do to, I think, 13,000 people a year in the UK. But he posted this. I've received a statement from Emmanuel Brunisholz, who starts a 10-day prison sentence in Switzerland tomorrow for saying that men and women have different skeletons. Let me repeat that. For saying that men and women have different skeletons. You can write to the Swiss Federal Department of Justice and police at there and protest this disgraceful situation. So here's what this guy is. So this is in the words now of the man who's going to go to prison for saying that men and women have different skeletons. In 2022, I wrote on Facebook that a human skeleton can only be male or female. I pointed out that if 2 centuries from now, someone were to unearth the remains of today's LGBTQI people, they would find nothing but male or female skeletons. To imagine that one would find anything other than male or female struck me as a fantasy divorced from reason. Well, that ain't going to stop them, so I described it as a mentally ill idea. Don't accurately describe reality in Switzerland, apparently. For that remark, I was fined 500 Swiss francs. I refused to pay, and so on the 2nd of December, 2025, I will serve 10 days in prison. It is worth noting that, legally speaking, this prison sentence is not a punishment for refusing to pay the fine. Instead, the prison sentence is an alternative way to be punished for the Facebook post itself, for saying that men and women have different skeletons. I have chosen to trade a monetary fine for time behind bars. I am fully prepared to go to prison if that is what it takes to expose the absurdity and authoritarianism of the trans ideology that has now taken root in Switzerland. This is still happening. Still happening. It's madness. Utter madness. The LGBTQ plus movement behaves like a zealous sect. Well, this is it. It's a cult. How else to explain it? Like, if accurately describing reality is a heresy against your ideology, then it's a cult. Like it's not moored in reality anymore, right? You're just attacking their articles of faith. by saying that men and women have different skeletons. So you must be punished. You are a heretic. Yikes, it's terrifying. So I guess strike Switzerland off the vacation list. All right. What are you guys saying? Steve says, condemned by history. It is unforgivably tragic. This train of the media's horrible behavior. Yeah, it's for so long. Yeah, it's appalling. It's appalling what people will just do for money. Really, sometimes, isn't it? Let's see. Candle Monkey says, I am learning so much from this weather app. That's why I play it. Spambot says October 18th, 2027 is the last possible date of the referendum. But surely they'd be best drawing it out as long as possible, though, right? To the last possible minute, because I think that they're probably, that vote, the independence vote, is behind the stay vote at this point. So I don't know. I haven't seen any recent polls. But I don't know, the last ones I have seen, and again, it's a big ask. It is. So I'd have to see some more recent polling. Hopefully we will soon. Let's see. Spambot says it can be anytime before that date too. Yeah, but I think probably you'd want to hold it off for as long as possible to give yourself the best chance of winning. Chef Rico, which one of these fine women had crippled gut problem? None of them. Let's see. Chef Rico says he seems like he would be a candidate for political asylum. Yeah, the Swiss guy, 100%. Spambot says the pelvic floor of human women is very different from men. 100% true. 100% true. Archaeologists know. Chef Rico says high school biology knows that. Yep. Spambot says not in public schools anymore. Yeah, I guarantee you they're not teaching that anymore. They're probably just not teaching about skeletons at all. It's too politically incorrect. It's too fascist. Rosie says men and women have different skeletons. Different races, regions of origin have different shaped skulls, jaws, teeth structures, and knee structure. There are physiological differences. Everybody knows this. Rosie says read the Body Farm books. Jefferson something forensic anthropology. Okay. I'll get right on that, Rosie. Let's see. Spambot says, I thought the Crips was a gang in LA in the 1990s. That's what I thought too at first. Then I went, wait a second, is she crippled? Because they like that. They love being crippled, apparently. They'll find any reason to say that they're crippled. That's a virtue right there. That's how you know you're a good person, if you're crippled in some way. All right, here we go. Where are we now? I'm getting tired. People. Let's see. Sweden's trying to pay their immigrants to leave now. The offer sounds generous. Leave Sweden and you'll get a fortune in your hand. Now the rebellion is spreading. Similar to the discussion we know from Denmark. The Swedish government is offering a generous reward to immigrants who voluntarily leave the country. But there is great resistance, and now a showdown is spreading amongst Swedish mayors. Yeah, so you got Swedish mayors that are refusing to circulate this knowledge because they don't want their permanent underclass to leave. Jonathan Pallesen, Sweden is realizing that remigration is the way and are offering generous amounts for foreigners to leave Sweden. But many woke mayors fight the idea. The offer of money is based on an un-Swedish way of looking at people and their value. We will not assist the forces that today are driving the government's policy against our fellow human beings who work and contribute. Well, the thing is that they don't know. That's the problem at very high numbers. So it's cheaper to give a one-time reward to just leave than to have to support them for the rest of their lives, as they know they're going to have to do, because they've got lots of data on this now, and they can predict what's going to happen. Oh yeah, like 60% of these people are never going to try to contribute in any way whatsoever. And they're also going to commit lots of crimes. 75 municipalities are rejecting informing immigrants of this offer, even though it's voluntary for the immigrants. Just suicidal empathy. All right. Suicidally stupid. Wow. Let's see what's going on here. Here's Danielle Smith in Alberta. Danielle Smith just announced the Alberta sovereignty in a United Canada Act. So this is all stuff that's going to make the Canadian media lose its mind, and Canadian leftists lose their minds. Alberta will refuse the Liberal gun grab and introduce a castle law protecting your right to defend your home. That's not extremism. That's common sense for Canada. From Mark Nixon here. Yeah, it's just common sense. I mean, my feeling has always been that if you're breaking into somebody's house in the middle of the night, armed or not, you're kind of leaving your right to keep existing at the window you climbed in through. Your home should be a sacred place, and you have no idea what the intentions are of anybody who breaks into your home uninvited, and you shouldn't need to be. You shouldn't be asked. Nobody should be able to ask you to be concerned about their rights or what their intentions are. And are you applying too much force to protect yourself and your family? No, I think that, you cross the threshold. Anything is fair game. Anything goes. Once you cross that threshold uninvited into somebody's house at 3:00 in the morning. Let's hear this.
I'm announcing today that next week, our UCP government will be introducing a new motion under the Alberta Sovereignty Within a United Canada Act that will, if passed in the legislature, instruct all provincial entities, including our municipalities and law enforcement agencies, to refuse to enforce or prosecute under the federal gun seizure program. Now, the Sovereignty Act motion will also make it clear that these agencies will not enforce or prosecute Albertans defending their homes and families from intruders. I'm announcing today that next week, our UCP government...
Just the best premier in Canada by far. By far. So jealous. So jealous. That's just common sense. That is, Trudeau told us that we didn't have any national identity and any core identity, that we were... Trudeau told us that we were a post-national state with no core identity. We might as well just be whatever somebody who shows up 15 minutes from now is, right? Here's some core identity. Here's some what it is to be Canadian. Here's some national identity right here. This is way closer to it. This is the kind of actual, what I would call patriotism, that a Mark Carney or a Justin Trudeau can't even imagine. Yeah, she's the best premier in Canada by a mile. And if she were the Prime Minister of Canada, Canada would be in a much, much better place. It'd be a serious country again. That's not extremism. That's common sense. Canada, yes. And of course, she will be called an extremist. The mainstream media in Canada hates her with a passion because she's so effective. I think also as well, right? Like it's, Danielle Smith is a woman. She's a woman. And it forces them to attack a woman. So they want to hear, all we hear about is we need to have more women's voices, right? So it kind of shines a spotlight on the hypocrisy of Canadian leftists and the Canadian media. When they're not interested in her voice, right? They're not interested in her voice. Her voice doesn't count. because diverse voices has never been what it's about. It's about total conformity, ideological conformity. And they just like it a little bit better if it's somebody with a darker skin. That's it. Let's see what's underneath here. She will be introducing the new motion in Parliament next week. If passed, this will become the law in Alberta. Good for her. Protecting lawful abiding gun owners and your right to defend your castle. So the gun grab where, well, I guess the Liberals call it they're getting weapons of war off the street. All it is just like your grandfather's shotgun out on the farm. That's what they're actually getting. They're doing nothing about people committing crimes with illegal weapons. Nothing. They're just going after the people least likely to commit a gun crime. Lawful, licensed gun owners. But that is liberal logic. Some of it's common sense. The part about Alberta staying in a united Canada, not so much. I am moving back to Calgary. I really would like to move back to Alberta. I've got to say, I can't do it right now, but I would love to move back. I like Alberta a lot. All right. We got into the last tab. I want to say for anybody watching on YouTube, go to the new channel. I split this channel into two. The channel you're watching now, which is the live streams, and Canadian news is going to be on it. The clips of Canadian news, everything else, U.S. news, world news, UK news, woke mind virus, meme reviews, all on the new channel, Radio Baloney News on YouTube. The algorithm hates me. The blue-haired gremlins will cry, though, if you subscribe to my channel. So do that. Don't let the gatekeepers win. Subscribe to the new channel and get all of the beautiful content there. Thank you very much. And generally, people just subscribe to the channel, wherever you are, wherever you may be. Only good things can happen. What do we got going on here? How about a Rumble ad? Why not? Let's do it. Let's go hard with this one. All right, people looking for smarter ways to browse and enjoy your favorite content without ads or maybe without communism, because you don't get that on Radio Baloney. Get the Perplexity Pro bundle with Rumble Premium for just $19.99 a month when you sign up before December 31st. Normally, folks, that's a $29.99 value. Now, with Rumble Premium, you'll get an ad-free, and it's also a communism-free viewing experience if you're watching Radio Baloney. Viewing experience across all your devices and access to exclusive premium content. No interruptions, no communism, just the videos and streams you love anytime, anywhere. And that's the best kind, anytime, anywhere. Everybody knows that. Plus, Perplexity Pro boosts your productivity with unlimited research, unlimited uploads, exclusive member perks, and access to the latest and most advanced AI models for faster, smarter answers every single day. Save over 30% on this powerful bundle. Head to rumble.com/premium. That's rumble.com/premium before December 31st to sign up and unlock your premium experience. And that, my friends, is the way that you put out anti-communist sentiment and also read a beautiful ad. Beautiful ad. Jeffrigo says that's 33% off. Woohoo. I know, it's that good. All right. Nevada says, get out while you can, Richie. Well, I'd be really interested to see like how much property values are going to tank over the next few months, not just in Richmond, where there was that land title decision, but across the entire province, because it's 95% of the province. It's vulnerable. What else is going on? Let's see. Rosie says, there are many people who sleep with a weapon, not just nearby. With people who break into places should be ready to say hello to God right away. That Rosie is chat of the night. Let's give her a hand. Ready to say hello to God right away. 100%. I'm sorry. Like, home is sacred, right? It is sacred. You cross over the threshold. You leave your right to live at the window you crawled in through or the screen door that you broke or whatever. You leave it outside. That is just, I'm sorry, that is the sanest thing that anybody will ever say, ever. Let's see. All right. Let's get to the last bit of stuff. We're 3 hours in, folks. It's a Tuesday night. This is funny. I don't know whether this guy likes Tucker or doesn't like him. I don't care. It's funny. Let's take a look. Real Ben. At Real Ben. Okay, so let's take a look.
A child has gone missing in Zorns, New York. We don't know what happened to him.
Home Alone 2. He's reporting on Home Alone 2.
He's probably been eaten by homeless people by now.
Let's start over.
God forbid. A child has gone missing in Zorns, New York. We don't know what happened to him. He's probably been eaten by homeless people by now. God forbid he set foot in the Bronx or Harlem, then there'd be no saving him. He's probably in a bodega sharing chopped cheese and a large Snapple with his Dominican wife. Either that or he's in a pissy hallway rapping Where to Hood At by DMX. Is he the cat with the Kool-Aid on his lips and pumps? You may remember him as Kevin McAllister, a young patriot that we did a story on last year after he defended his home against 2 burglars, using nothing but paint cans and a blowtorch. Do these men still have testicles? The burglars in question are Harry and Marv, who recently just escaped from jail. Could you imagine if they ended up in New York City? It'd be like a bad movie sequel. Kevin was last seen at the Plaza Motel, where he was overheard asking a man for directions. The man responded, "Down the hall and to the left." This is a 9-year-old. Who the hell did that? A child has gone missing in Zorns, New York.
That's pretty good. I don't even know if he likes Tucker or doesn't like Tucker, but it's pretty funny. He does a good Tucker. Let's see. Hold on a second. Rosie says, great ad read, 10 out of 10. Again, that's almost the most you can get out of 10, I believe. Let's see. A radio streamer says, I sleep next to mine and carry 24/7. It doesn't seem like a terrible idea to me. Shafrigo says, but the house isn't yours. It belongs to the First Nations. Well, this is the thing, right? Like, there's going to be, as this continues, as this is drawn out, there's going to be more and more uncertainty. And I think there's going to be a rising sense of panic across this and anger across this province. I think you're going to see an end to the land acknowledgements quick. Because one thing, they can be used in court, right? Like, let's see. Rosie says, was that an impression or AI? Good Tucker. That's not AI. It's a good Tucker. I thought it was good. Let's see. Fixed it. We can't watch this one yet. We'll have to watch that on the next premium stream. Bernard Stanford. One man paid the price by having his identity stolen, costing him tens of thousands of dollars and making his life hell. The other paid the price by being arrested and charged for the crime he knowingly committed. One of the craziest framings of a story I've ever seen. And this is it. The media is just, it's all about framing now. The great read. 2 men, 1 identity. They both paid the price. Thousands of undocumented workers rely on fraudulent social security numbers. One of them belonged to Dan Kluver. How about thousands of undocumented workers? How about hundreds of thousands of undocumented workers steal fraudulent social security numbers? 2 men, 1 identity. They both paid the price. I mean, it's kind of just the same, right? Both poor guys. You got to feel sorry for them both. Gross. This looks like that looks like New York Times font there. I'm going to assume it is. Let's see. Canada's first snow experience. Camels. First snow experience. All right, let's check this out. Oh, they're going to play the music. We don't need it. Music's garbage. That music, it's always garbage music on these. Let's take a look. So Camel's first experience with snow. Take a look. I think he likes it. I think he likes it. That's pretty funny. All right. We won't spend too much time on that. This is funny. Her boyfriend got deported, and this is how her dad responded from Betty Johnson. Okay, this is pretty good. Let's check it out.
Yo, her boyfriend got deported, and her dad sent her this. Dad of the year right here.
Hey, honey, so that boyfriend of yours, he's gone. And when I say gone, I mean deported. I made one phone call to ICE, beautiful people, best agents, and 30 minutes later, they had him in the van crying like a little baby. Turns out that so-called student visa of his expired in 2019, and he never left. How sad. But please understand, I did it for you, princess. That kid was a walking red flag factory. He couldn't even speak a lick of English. Come on now. Next thing you know, he's got you eating tacos for breakfast and naming your kids Ricardo and Jose. Not in my bloodline, sweetheart, you're a catch. You deserve a guy who owns a truck, not a guy who gets picked up by one. You deserve a man who pays taxes, not one who disappears the second someone asks for a social security number. So yeah, I snitched. I reported him. Don't be mad. Be proud. Your dad just saved you from a lifetime of translating for him at the DMV and explaining to your kids why Santa says Feliz Navidad. Now go touch some grass, eat a cheeseburger with real American cheese, and find yourself a nice boy named Hunter or Braden who says, yes, ma'am, and owns at least one pair of boots that aren't from Payless. Love you more than anything. You're welcome.
Tough, but fair. Tough, but fair. Trump is always tough, but fair. All right. That's it. We're done. Let's see. Jack, how you doing, Jack? Undocu illegals, which is illegal all the way down. Get them out of here. Get them out of here. Radio Streamer says dad of the decade. Rosie says Hunter or Braden. All right, before we go, let's just check live now. See if there's anything on here. Any breaking news. Let's do that right now.
$135. And a friend of mine called me. He said, what is this? Why is it? He got used to paying $1,300. Well, now what we have it down to is, Bobby, what's the number? Like 150 or something? We have it down to a low number, don't we?
Yeah, it's around 125, 150.
Yeah, think of that. So we got it down from $1,300 to $125 to $140, depending on various countries. In other words, we're paying the lowest price, tied for the lowest price in the world. And people said you could never do that because you couldn't get the countries to agree to it. I did. Every country agreed to it because I said, if you're not going to agree to it, that's okay. I'm going to charge you tariffs. And as soon as I said that, they said, we agree. And then we had to be a little tough with the drug companies, but they came along. The bigger problem was the countries. The countries just wouldn't go along with it, but they did. Every country. So we have reduced drug prices by 500, 600, 700, 800. Depending on the.
So I'm not sure what particular drug he was talking about there, but I just remembered that before we go, we've got to raid another stream. They really should come up with a better name than raiding. It sounds like hostile, right? We got to find one with not too many people on it. See if there's a channel with not too many people that we can help them out. Send a few people their way. All right. Let's see. Is there anything of interest to you guys that you would like to? Apparently, the last raid that we did last night, that's the first one we've done, didn't go that well. Let's see. Bitcoin, dissemble, 100,000. Putin's war warning shakes Europe. 11 people there. That seems like an interesting one. Should we take a look?
The real reason you're stiff after sitting.
You can live a very long time without.
The real reason you're stiff after sitting.
You can live a very long time without getting old.
Okay, let's check out Gamer Stream. Go to a Gamers Raid. Just raid a big one. I don't want to relive the horror of Black Hitler. Let's see. Doge Clock Live. That's interesting. Let's see. Warzone, Locked In, and Gaming for dubs. Should we go there? Let's see. No cursing. Today we're playing Roblox games. Drama reacts. Rico says no. What else have we got? Sports. I don't know. What about like what about 3i Atlas?
NASA scientists discovered why your brain feels slow by 2 p.m. And it has nothing to do with how much sleep you got last night. After studying one...
The majority are just not, culture just not interested. So, anyway. But yeah, when the earth is dying, like dying, yeah, then that's when, it depends, yeah. People do shift, they die out here, yeah, and go to another version of earth, they can. It's supposed to die, but not dead yet. It still has some.
Okay, I want to help this guy out. There's only 2 people there, and that sounds interesting. All right. Let's see. I do have Rumble Premium, but I use different browsers, and I'm not signed in on this one, so I'm going to try and raid this one here. All right. Let's see. How is it again? It's this, I think, and then raid, and then I have to find this one. Copy. Let's check this one out. Okay, paste. Do I have to do raid? I think I have to make a space there. Let's go. Confirm raid. Let's do it. All right. All right. So I think that it has worked, and anybody who wants to go over there has gone over there now. So that's it. Okay. So that's good. So that's it for us tonight over here. We've done our second raid now that we've done on our channel, which is really good news. And I've got to do 3 more raids before during this month. Actually, I'm going to do 5 raids in this month to stay in the creator program, and we will do 3 more after this. And yeah, and I'm happy to send some people over to a channel that's only got a couple of people on it. I think it's awesome, actually. Discoverability, and hope you guys have fun. And the guys that went over, hope you have fun. All right. So that's it, everybody. Thank you so much in the chat. You guys were awesome tonight. And if you guys weren't here, it'd be really boring for me. So thanks for showing up. We will be back on Friday night, 7:30 Pacific time, 10:30 Eastern time. And yeah, have a great week, everybody. We'll see you then. Good night, everyone.